Chapter 1451. However, not long after the construction started, they dug out a group of ancient tombs. At first, Bai Hanmo thought that there was a tomb. He planned to hide it from them. If people knew that there was a tomb under the house, who would live in the house? After spending so much money, how could they stop work because of a tomb? It was very likely that all the money would be wasted. Since the discovery of the tomb, Bai Hanmo had a shadow in his heart. Bai Hanmo rubbed his eyebrows. His eyes were more bloodshot than before. Bai Hanmo hugged Ding Ningdi and smelled Ding Ningdi's scent. Only then did he feel at ease. Bai Hanmo kissed Ding Ningdi's neck. After that, Bai Hanmo kept a close eye on the various newspapers and magazines. If anyone dared to expose the tomb, he would make them suffer. However, after they dug out more tombs, they could not keep it a secret anymore. It attracted many reporters and even the higher-ups were alarmed. They immediately sent archaeologists to carry out rescue excavations. Because many cultural relics were destroyed violently and not preserved properly, they oxidized when exposed to the air. As a result, many cultural relics were destroyed. Bai Hanmo was blamed by the higher-ups because of this. The newspapers were all reporting about it. The company's reputation was tainted and the share price fell. Ning Shu took the opportunity to buy the shares and the price was getting lower and lower. As more and more people sold the shares, the price was even lower. Ning Shu took advantage of the situation. Bai Hanmo was so angry that he flipped the table. He had bought that land with real money. Now, they did not give him a single cent and took back the land. They even blamed him for destroying the cultural relics. Since there was an ancient tomb, why did they still sell it? More than 10 billion was gone. The company's share price kept falling. A few million was lost in minutes. Bai Hanmo was so angry that his eyes were getting redder. He could not control his anger. There was a fire burning in Bai Hanmo's heart. His brain was burning. A series of investment failures made Bai Hanmo impatient. Bai Hanmo, who had always been successful, was cheated for the first time. Moreover, he did not dare to say anything. Otherwise, the army would be here. Bai Hanmo was so angry that the veins on his forehead popped. The anger in his heart could not be extinguished. The more he thought about it, the angrier he felt. Bai Hanmo suspected that the government was deliberately cheating them of their money. Once the money went into his wallet, he definitely wouldn't be able to get it back. However, it was too much if he didn't compensate him at all. Now, he even had to pay a fine for destroying the cultural relics and not reporting it. Bai Hanmo's heart was in a mess. It was too much of a bully. Bai Hanmo took a deep breath, then took another deep breath. Finally, he grabbed the computer on the table and smashed it on the ground. Sparks flew, and the computer was beyond recognition. Bai Hanmo was like an oil barrel that was about to explode, which made Ding Ningdi tremble with fear. She could only try her best to comfort Bai Hanmo with her tenderness. When they were intimate, Bai Hanmo liked to nibble on Ding Ningdi's jade-like skin. When he smelled the fragrance on her body, he felt his heart itch and numb. It was a very happy feeling. Although Ding Ningdi tried her best to comfort him, she was extremely gentle in bed and took care of his daily needs and clothes. She boiled soup and cooked dinner. However, Bai Hanmo still couldn't calm down. He was sullen and couldn't calm down. Bai Hanmo felt that his self-esteem had been trampled on. He was treated like this, but there was no explanation, no compensation, not even a good word. It was too much of a bully. Bai Hanmo's eyes were scarlet. He was so angry that he made a decision. That was, the price of all the products under the group had been raised by 20%. A bag of salt was 2 yuan. Now that the price had increased, it was 24 yuan. The small thing couldn't tell, but from the big products, it was obvious that the price increase was very scary. For example, a washing machine cost 6,000 yuan. If the price increased by 20%, it would cost 7,200 yuan. Bai Hanmo did this to deliberately disrupt the market and let the higher-ups see. Using capital to disrupt society was the same as the ancient merchants going on strike. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that this was a very self-destructive decision, but Bai Hanmo did it. Bai Hanmo's price increase had indeed caused chaos in the market. And it was the kind of attitude that said, "I'm going to raise the price. It's up to you whether you want to buy it or not." Because of this decision, the stock price of the Bai family's company fell like a jump off a cliff. Ning Shu's hands were sore from collecting shares. Although he didn't know if Bai Hanmo had been possessed, it was such a good opportunity for other companies, especially companies that made the same product. Taking advantage of Bai Hanmo's price increase, they lowered the price of their products. They didn't lower it by much, ensuring that there was a little profit and not a loss. But compared to the Bai family's company, it seemed so cheap. They didn't sell the cheap products of the same quality and insisted on buying the expensive ones. There was something wrong with their brains. They took advantage of this opportunity to let their products occupy the market. Ning Shu looked at the stock market curve and couldn't help but laugh. Nothing in the world was difficult, but one was afraid of courting death. Wasn't Bai Hanmo courting death? If one was used to being spoiled, one would eventually suffer. Lien Min came to see Ning Shu with gifts, and the second son of the Lien family came with her. The second brother was a little embarrassed when he saw Ning Shu. Ning Shu didn't mention the previous incident and asked Lien Min, "In the past, you always came empty-handed and left with a big bag. It's rare to see you bring something." Lien Min often came to pick up the goods, either to give to the rich ladies or to give to others. Lien Min rolled her eyes at Ning Shu. "You're still being cocky." Ning Shu poured tea for Lien Min and the second brother. "I have to thank you this time. The feng shui of that place is really bad. I heard that more than 100 tombs have been dug out." "It's a group of tombs," Lien Min said. Ning Shu glanced at the second brother who was drinking tea and asked Lien Min in confusion, "What are you talking about? I don't understand. Why are you pretending?" "I've already told you everything," Lien Min said. Ning Shu was speechless. The second brother put down his teacup and Ning Shu said, "Thank you this time, but how do you know that the feng shui there is bad?" "Because I know a little bit about feng shui. I can't tell you the specifics, but it doesn't feel good," Ning Shu said, avoiding the important point. The second brother said, "Oh, but didn't know whether to believe it or not." The second brother put down the gifts and left after a few words, leaving Lien Min and Ning Shu to talk. "You did this, right?" Ning Shu asked Lien Min. "I leaked the bidding price," Lien Min said, spreading her hands. "It was a lucky hit, but it's enough to make Bai Hanmo suffer," Ning Shu said with a smile. Lien Min's expression was incredulous. Was his brain kicked by the door? Why did he make such a decision instead of saving the situation? Probably because he was angry. "Bai Hanmo can't tolerate sand in his eyes," Ning Shu said casually. "That's too much. All under the sky is the king's land, all on the shores of the earth are the king's subjects." Was Bai Hanmo bewitched? Lien Min said in surprise. Ning Shu shrugged, speechless. Chapter 1452. The exposure of the ancient tombs put the Bai family's company in a crisis. The newspapers and media were criticizing the Bai family's company. They said that Bai Hanmo did not have the demeanor of an entrepreneur. He destroyed ancient relics and did not hesitate to destroy them for the sake of the project. Moreover, there were many people in the world who hated the rich. Bai Hanmo's matter this time was fermented on the internet and the company's image was not better. Many people even started boycotting the Bai family's products. The Bai family's products had already increased in price. With the boycott, the Bai family's products could not be sold at all. It was simply one disaster after another. It was extremely bleak. When he saw the results, Bai Hanmo felt as if a bucket of ice water had been poured over his head. He shivered. He calmed down. Bai Hanmo was furious. He felt that the whole world was against him. These people were simply unforgivable. What Bai Hanmo did alarmed the company's board of directors. He could not court death again. Bai Hanmo had been high and mighty for a long time. His mentality was not quite the same. Even if the price was raised, he did not feel that there was anything wrong with it. That was because the other party was too much of a bully. He just wanted to seek justice. These shareholders pointed at Bai Hanmo and accused him of destroying the company and not caring about the company's interests. Bai Hanmo looked at these people's faces and the anger in his heart grew. In the past, these people were as obedient as dogs in front of him and tried to curry favor with him. Now, they actually dared to scold him. They dared to criticize him. Bai Hanmo's eyes were red and his face was trembling. I have the final say in the company's matters. When did it become your turn to interfere? This concerns our interests. Can't we say a few words? You're too arbitrary, the board of directors said with ugly expressions. Bai Hanmo sneered. These people were too greedy. In the past, he could satisfy their appetites and did not say a word. Now that he had encountered such a situation, all of them came to criticize him. They were simply useless. Bai Hanmo's arrogance and the anger in his heart could not be appeased. The more the board of directors tried to persuade Bai Hanmo, the more stubborn he became. To put it bluntly, his noble pride was hurt. The thought of perishing together with the entire world arose in his heart. He resolutely continued to seek death by blowing up the fort. However, when he saw the sales report, Bai Hanmo could only suppress the anger in his heart and hold a press conference. He explained about the ancient tombs and the price increase of the products. When explaining the price increase, Bai Hanmo said that it was because the product had been upgraded. That was why it was more expensive. Now, in order to repay the consumers, the original price was restored. Ning Shu looked at the TV and couldn't help but shake his head. Was Bai Hanmo treating everyone else as fools? If you say that the product can be upgraded, then it can be upgraded. An insincere and useless press conference would only let people see Bai Hanmo's arrogant look, which would make him even more annoying. After the press conference, some people quickly slapped their faces. It was exposed on the internet that the Bai family's products had not been upgraded at all. There were no changes, and some of the daily necessities were the same, but the price was much higher than before. It was the company that gave the order to increase the price, so the upgrade was just a lie. A stone stirred up 1,000 ripples. Previously, the Bai family's attitude was very bad. Now, they were maliciously deceiving the consumers. This time, the company's reputation was even worse, and the share price fell. Ning Shu spent a lot of money to buy these low-priced shares. With these shares in her hands, she could do whatever she wanted. The initiative was in her hands. Bai Hanmo held a press conference to explain that the matter was not resolved. On the contrary, it became more and more serious. Now, Bai Hanmo was crowned with the name of a profiteer. Bai Hanmo's image now was that of a rich and heartless profiteer. Water can carry a boat, but it can also capsize it. In addition, it can disrupt the market economy, making the ordinary people and the higher-ups unhappy. The development of the matter was beyond Bai Hanmo's expectations. When he looked back, the company's products were no longer selling. The products of other companies had occupied the market. Moreover, these people seemed to have agreed that if the Bai family's products were to be lowered a little, the products of other companies would also be lowered a little. It was only a few cents or cents cheaper. But it looked cheaper than his family's. Bai Hanmo realized that the matter was really serious, and the higher-ups were deliberately supporting other companies. Damn it! Moreover, he had spent too much money recently, including on the Ding family, including the land. Now, the products could not be sold, and the funds could not be recovered. the company did not even have working capital. The share price was evaporating by millions in minutes, and Bai Hanmo could only watch helplessly. He was angry and anxious. He wanted to bang his head against the wall. Those guys who used to be in fear and trepidation when they saw him had now turned into wolves and surrounded him. They wanted to tear off a piece of meat from his body. In the past, they had all fawned over him, but now they wanted to step on him. They spat in his face. The Bai family's company was in a very awkward situation because the products could not be sold and the funds could not be turned. They could only take a loan from the bank, but the bank politely refused. Bai Hanmo was so angry that his head was about to explode. He was a big customer of the bank. The bank did not have such an attitude in the past. But who could he borrow from? If the products could not be sold, the share price would fall to the 18th level of hell. He was losing money by the minute. With Bai Hanmo's character, if he wanted to borrow money from others, wouldn't that be asking for his life? However, Bai Hanmo mustered up the courage to ask, but the other party did not lend at all. He thought that this was something that hurt his pride, but there was something even more embarrassing. Bai Hanmo only wanted to say that the whole world was against him. Bai Hanmo's cool and arrogant attitude was actually quite easy to offend people. However, Bai Hanmo was born in the Bai family, and he had the capital to do so. However, he was in dire straits. Basically, no one was willing to help Bai Hanmo. Bai Hanmo had no choice but to use his own assets to fill the company's hole. However, no matter how much money he had, it could not stop the share price from falling. The company's situation made some shareholders start to sell their shares. Because the company was now besieged on all sides, if there was no capital injection, it would definitely be finished. Moreover, the company's reputation was not very good now, especially Bai Hanmo's reputation. These shareholders were all people who only took in and did not spend. It was too risky to ask them to use money to save the company with an uncertain future. Now, they simply sold all the shares in their hands at a low price. Ning Shu was really tired of receiving shares. It was really too satisfying. However, the money was also spent quickly. Now, Ning Shu really had a lot of shares in her hands. Now, she was also a major shareholder of the Bai family company. She did not know how ugly Bai Hanmo's expression would be when he saw her. Ning Shu was quite looking forward to it. From Ning Shu's point of view, the Bai family company was facing a lot of problems. First of all, many companies were working together to deal with it. If it was the Bai family of the past, there would definitely be no problem. Chapter 1453. In the past, the Bai family dominated the economy and controlled all kinds of industries. But now, it was difficult for the Bai family to make a comeback. They had too many shops and too many products. Now, they couldn't sell them. So, the other families tacitly joined in the encirclement of the Bai family. As long as the Bai family collapsed, there would be a lot of benefits. The Bai family had the best channels and resources. If the Bai family collapsed, these channels and resources would be given away. Bai Hanmo was furious. There were wolves in front and tigers behind. On the left, there were shareholders who kept talking, and on the right, there was pressure from the higher-ups. One moment, they said that there was a problem with the Bai family's products. The next moment, they wanted to inspect them. As long as they wanted to make things difficult for someone, they could think of any tricks. Bai Hanmo stood on a lonely peak. There were cliffs in all directions. He couldn't go anywhere. In the end, the company's share price fell. Bai Hanmo's body was like a tight string that broke. His body went soft. Bai Hanmo didn't know what was wrong with him. Back then, he had lost more than 10 billion yuan and the land. The company would have earned it back in at most 3 years. But he was too angry at that time and couldn't control his irritation. He was so angry that he wanted to trample on his dignity to have a taste of his power. But the series of events that followed caught him off guard. Maybe if he didn't buy the Ding family's company, this wouldn't have happened. Maybe if he didn't sell the land, this wouldn't have happened. Maybe if he bought the land, found the ancient tomb, and donated it generously. If he didn't hide it, the company wouldn't be tainted. Maybe, money couldn't buy it. Bai Hanmo looked tired. Blisters appeared on his lips. Plus, his eyes were scarlet. He was like a powder keg that was about to explode. No one dared to go near him. Ding Ningdi was more afraid when Bai Hanmo went back to the villa every day. Because of the setback in business, Bai Hanmo's temper was a little irritable. A little irritable was a more subtle way of saying it. She felt that Bai Hanmo was temperamental. Every time she saw Bai Hanmo's red eyes, Ding Ningdi asked Bai Hanmo to have a good rest. Ding Ningdi said that for Bai Hanmo's sake. But Bai Hanmo would smash the bowls and chopsticks on the spot. Bai Hanmo roared, "The company is like this, how can I sleep?" After losing his temper, Bai Hanmo hugged Ding Ningdi and apologized. He took a deep breath of Ding Ningdi's scent and felt a little more peaceful. "Don't leave me. I only have you." Bai Hanmo sniffed Ding Ningdi's scent deeply, his expression intoxicated. Ding Ningdi of God of God of Ding of Ding of God of God of God Ding of people of God of God God of Ding Ningdi. Bai Hanmo nibbled on Ding Ningdi's neck and breathed more and more heavily. Ding Ningdi said reluctantly, I'm sick." Since she was sick, she couldn't be affectionate. Bai Hanmo pushed Ding Ningdi away irritably and rubbed his eyebrows. Recently, he felt very irritable and couldn't suppress the anger in his heart at all. Sometimes, the anger in his heart burned so much that his heart hurt. Bai Hanmo knew that he was irritable because of the failure of the business. Bai Hanmo didn't like anything now. Ding Ningdi's expression changed when she was pushed away by Bai Hanmo. Bai Hanmo had never treated her like this. He had always been considerate and gentle. But when she thought of Bai Hanmo's current situation, Ding Ningdi's uneasiness and dissatisfaction disappeared. Bai Hanmo was the man she liked. She believed that Bai Hanmo would be able to survive this period. As long as she accompanied him through life's difficult times, Bai Hanmo would never be able to leave her again. Ding Ningdi didn't think that Bai Hanmo would fail. This turn of events was a test of their feelings. As long as they held on for a while, their feelings would become deeper and deeper. After all, a friend in need was a friend indeed. However, she felt that Bai Hanmo's aura was unstable, as if it was going to explode at any time. It was still a little scary. Ding Ningdi could only make Bai Hanmo chrysanthemum tea or something to calm him down. His mouth was already bubbling. Bai Hanmo drank the tea made by Ding Ningdi and looked at Ding Ningdi. After thinking for a while, he said to Ding Ningdi, "I've been in a bad mood recently. Please bear with me." Ding Ningdi shook her head and said, "It's okay. I know you're suffering." Bai Hanmo held Ding Ningdi's hand and said disappointedly, "Now the company's cash flow is not good. We need cash flow." Ding Ningdi blinked and asked, "What do you want me to do?" "Borrow some money from your father. It doesn't need much. Just let the company survive this difficult period." Bai Hanmo rubbed his eyebrows and said with a sigh, "And I'm afraid that my parents will ask me to marry another girl because of this." Ding Ningdi's heart skipped a beat. Was this a business marriage? No matter whether Bai Hanmo was telling the truth or not, he had indeed hit Ding Ningdi's soft spot. She was afraid that Bai Hanmo would marry another girl because her status was not high enough. Then what should she do? She had wanted to refuse Bai Hanmo's request to borrow money, but now she had to find a way to get money for Bai Hanmo. Only in this way could she hold on to her status. Ding Ningdi felt very anxious. Her father had asked her to borrow money from Bai Hanmo before. She was like a sandwiched biscuit, which made her feel very uncomfortable. Now Bai Hanmo asked her to borrow money from Ding Yen again, and she was still sandwiched. What was this called? Every dog has its day. But she was still in a dilemma. Before, when she had to choose between Ding Yan and Bai Hanmo, Ding Ningdi had chosen Bai Hanmo. But now Bai Hanmo was in trouble and needed to borrow money from Ding Yan. She didn't know if Ding Yan would be willing to lend it to her. In particular, Bai Hanmo had bought the Bai family's company. Ding Ningdi's heart was so complicated that she didn't even want to talk about it. She really felt like she had screwed up. Ding Ningdi discussed with Bai Hanmo. Dad has always cared about the company. Why don't you let Dad manage it? Although Ding Ningdi didn't know much about business, she knew how to communicate with people. If she went to borrow money empty-handed, she would definitely be kicked out of the door. Moreover, some of her previous actions were too ruthless. Now, there was no room for negotiation. She guessed that Ding Yan hated her as his daughter in his heart. If she brought the company to him, it could be considered an exchange. She could at least borrow money. When Bai Hanmo heard about the Ding family's company, he raised his eyebrows. This time, he had lost because of the Ding family's company. He had thought that the Ding family had asked for help and spent a lot of money to buy it. Now, he had to return the company to Ding Yan. Bai Hanmo was really unwilling to accept it. But now that the company couldn't hold on, he could only return the company to Ding Yan. But the company was already in a mess. When Bai Hanmo thought about it, he felt much better. How much money are you going to borrow from Dad? Ding Ningdi stared at Bai Hanmo. It couldn't be too much. If it was too much, Ding Yan would definitely not lend it to her. Chapter 1454. Having lived with Ding Yan for more than 20 years, Ding Ningdi knew very well what kind of person her father was. He was very selfish and domineering. She had to carefully please him so that she could live a better life in the Ding family. Ding Ningdi felt that it was very difficult to get money from him. 3 billion. Bai Hanmo said. 3 billion was not enough, but he was afraid that Ding Yan would not lend it to him if he said too much. When Ding Ningdi heard this price, she almost jumped up in fright. 3 billion was not 30 yuan. How could her father lend her so much money? Facing Bai Hanmo's expectant eyes, Ding Ningdi swallowed and said, "I'll try my best." Bai Hanmo laughed and hugged Ding Ningdi. "Thank you." Ding Ningdi, who was hugged by Bai Hanmo, looked embarrassed. What could she do with so much money? No matter what, she had to try. She was forced to borrow money from Bai Hanmo, and now she was forced to borrow money from Ding Yan. She could not please either of them. Ding Ningdi went back to the Ding family with a nervous heart. After hesitating for a while, she asked Ding Yan to borrow money. Ding Yan looked at his lovely daughter and sneered without saying a word. Ding Ningdi wanted to act like a spoiled child, but Ding Yan's cold and sarcastic face made Ding Ningdi unable to act like a spoiled child. After all, what happened in the company last time made Ding Yan see through his daughter. She was as rebellious as his eldest daughter. Now she was not affected by her weak appearance at all. Ding Ningdi was very embarrassed. She told Bai Hanmo's condition. If he was willing to lend her money, he would let Ding Yan manage the company of the Ding family. Hearing this condition, Ding Yan remained calm and said directly, "If Bai Hanmo is willing to return the company to me, I will lend him the money." Ding Yan was taking advantage of the situation. He wanted to take back the company without spending a single cent. Moreover, he wanted to lend the money to Bai Hanmo. Ding Ningdi's face darkened. Ding Yan's action was like going to buy something. The money he gave was borrowed. Not only did he take the item, but he also wanted to take the money back. What was this? If he told Bai Hanmo about this, he would definitely drive Bai Hanmo crazy. Ding Ningdi was disappointed and could only tell Bai Hanmo the truth. When Bai Hanmo heard Ding Yan's ridiculous request, he would rather destroy the company than return it to Ding Yan. It was too much of a bully. Naturally, Bai Hanmo was too ashamed to borrow money from Ding Yan. Bai Hanmo looked at Ding Ningdi, who was lovely and charming. You have to believe me. What I do is for our future. No matter what I do, I only love you in my heart. Ding Ningdi looked at Bai Hanmo with her watery eyes in surprise. She felt very uneasy. What do you want to do? Nothing. If I have nothing, will you still love me? Bai Hanmo asked Ding Ningdi with red eyes. Ding Ningdi nodded without hesitation. I will always love you, no matter what your identity is. I love you, not your money or your identity. Bai Hanmo held Ding Ningdi in his arms. Bai Hanmo had asked his mother to find a marriage partner for him. Although he felt sorry for Ding Ningdi, he had to save the company. During this period of time, Bai Hanmo truly felt the warmth and coldness of the world. Bai Hanmo, who used to be able to do whatever he wanted, was now someone who everyone dared to talk about and despise behind his back. They called him a profiteer. Bai Hanmo's mother was looking everywhere for a suitable rich young lady. If it was the Bai Hanmo of the past, many people would jump into his arms and dream of marrying him. But now, Bai Hanmo was really unbearable. His reputation was bad and the company was going to collapse. It was obviously a fire pit. And it was a fire pit that could not be jumped out of. And now, no one wanted to have anything to do with the Bai family. Therefore, it was impossible to solve the capital chain problem through marriage. Bai Hanmo was speechless. In the past, during banquets, those women would try to get his attention. But now, each and every one of them was a vain woman. Bai Hanmo was really at his wit's end. He was really at his wit's end. But Ding Ningdi still found out about Bai Hanmo's marriage. She cried very pitifully and asked Bai Hanmo for an explanation. You said that you would love me for the rest of your life, but now you want to marry another woman. Bai Hanmo listened to Ding Ningdi's sobs and felt extremely frustrated. It wasn't that he didn't love Ding Ningdi, but he was just so annoyed. He really wanted to destroy the world. Bai Hanmo felt like he was going to go crazy. Bai Hanmo could only be patient and say that the company was in big trouble and couldn't do without funds. A large sum of money had to be injected into the company, or the company would go bankrupt. When Ding Ningdi heard this, she was so scared that she couldn't cry anymore. Then what should we do? Ding Ningdi bit her lip and looked at Bai Hanmo's tired expression. She said with difficulty, why don't you marry my sister? Auntie and my sister should have a lot of money. Bai Hanmo's expression changed. That was right. He had spent 7 billion yuan to buy the Ding family company. If there was such a sum of money, the company should be able to survive. There's no need. I'll think of a way. Your sister is a vicious woman. Don't let a wolf into the house. Bai Hanmo had an idea, but he definitely wouldn't say it in front of Ding Ningdi. Ding Ningdi hugged Bai Hanmo's waist and buried her face in his chest. I really, really love you. I'm willing to do anything for you, as long as it's good for you. Bai Hanmo patted Ding Ningdi's back. I know. If the company really goes bankrupt, we'll go abroad. Ning Shu received a call. It was from Ding Ningdi, who he hadn't contacted for a long time. When Ning Shu heard Ding Ningdi's soft voice that made her heart itch, she couldn't help but want to grab Ding Ningdi's shoulders. Can you not speak so gently? Perhaps a man would enjoy hearing it, but Ning Shu, a woman, felt quite disgusted when she heard it. Ding Ningdi wanted to meet Ning Shu at a coffee shop. Ning Shu thought for a moment and knew what Ding Ningdi wanted. Now that Bai Hanmo was surrounded by enemies, he wanted the money in her hands. Ning Shu saw Ding Ningdi in a white dress sitting in the coffee shop, which complemented the quiet coffee shop. Ning Shu walked over and sat opposite Ding Ningdi. He asked directly, why are you looking for me? I'm very busy. Ding Ningdi bit her lip. She looked hesitant, as if she was making a difficult decision. Ning Shu stirred the coffee. Ding Ningdi didn't say anything, so he didn't ask. Ding Ningdi said, you know about Bai Hanmo, right? Ning Shu nodded. I know. Sister, please help Bai Hanmo. I'm willing to quit and let Bai Hanmo marry you. Ding Ningdi's face was full of forbearance for the sake of love. She tried hard to hold back her tears. If you marry Bai Hanmo, I'll never appear in front of Bai Hanmo again. Ning Shu took a sip of coffee and nodded. Okay, as long as you don't appear in front of Bai Hanmo, I'll give him money to help him get through this difficult time. Chapter 1455. For mobile users, please visit this wonderful novel at any time. Ning Shu straightforwardly agreed, causing Ding Ning Dai to stifle all the words that she had prepared to say before. She had prepared a lot of things to say and was ready to be humiliated by Ning Shu. However, he agreed without hesitation. Ding Ningdi's words were stuck in her throat. She couldn't spit them out or swallow them. It was a terrible feeling. Is what you said true? Ding Ningdi asked in disbelief. She might have seen a fake Ding Shueching. Was her sister Ding Shueching so easy to talk to? Ning Shu nodded calmly. I'm telling the truth. Get away from Bai Hanmo. Ding Ningdi was about to cry. As long as you keep your promise, I will definitely leave. Now Bai Hanmo and you need money. I will leave after you give me the money. Ding Ningdi was afraid that Ning Shu would not keep his promise. Then let's go find Bai Hanmo now and give him the money in person. Ning Shu stood up and looked at Ding Ningdi condescendingly. The two of them left the cafe and drove to Bai Hanmo's company. Ding Ningdi was in a dilemma along the way. She tilted her head and looked out of the window, wiping her tears from time to time. For Bai Hanmo, she was really enduring humiliation. For Bai Hanmo, she was willing to suffer any grievances. When they arrived at the company, Ding Ningdi was able to reach the CEO's office. Everyone in the company knew that Ding Ningdi was the future wife of the CEO. When Ning Shu looked at Bai Hanmo again, Bai Hanmo looked irritable like a raging rhinoceros. He had lost his usual calmness. What are you doing here? Bai Hanmo saw that Ding Ningdi's eyes were red. He looked at Ning Shu and asked, Did you bully your sister again? She loves to cry. What does that have to do with me? Ning Shu said directly. Sister didn't bully me. She said she was willing to pay to help you. Ding Ningdi said quickly. Bai Hanmo looked at Ning Shu. What do you want? I don't have any requirements. Since you have received my money, you are mine. So, you have to marry into my family. Ning Shu said. Bai Hanmo's face darkened. He stared sharply at Ning Shu. Do you know what you're talking about? Marrying into her family? Why don't you go to heaven? Ding Ningdi saw that things were in a deadlock, so she hurriedly tried to mediate. My sister's request is to marry you. Impossible, I only want to marry you in this lifetime. Bai Hanmo said resolutely. Ning Shu was speechless. Who was he kidding? Bai Hanmo's mother was looking for a wife everywhere, as if she wanted to use marriage to save the company. Even Bai Hanmo's mother had set her eyes on Lien Min, but the Lien family had rejected her. Lien Min even ran to Ning Shu and complained that Bai Hanmo already had someone he liked. Now, he was looking for a wife who was of equal social status. Everyone knew about the passionate love affair that had happened a while ago. Anyone with a discerning eye would know that he was just trying to take advantage of her. Maybe he would even take care of Ding Ningdi after marrying her. It was too fucking disgusting. She didn't know what she wanted by marrying Bai Hanmo. Ning Shu looked at the couple expressionlessly, as if they were parting forever. He couldn't empathize with them. Ding Ningdi cried and begged Bai Hanmo to accept Ning Shu. He had to protect the company and not let the company collapse. He also had to protect the livelihood of so many employees. Even if it wasn't for himself, he had to think about the livelihood of tens of thousands of employees. From beginning to end, Ning Shu was like a bystander watching their bitter drama. His heart didn't waver. In the end, Bai Hanmo said to Ning Shu, "Give me the money first. After the company's problems are solved, I will marry you. Of course, Ning Shu knew that Bai Hanmo was trying to get something for nothing. Ning Shu nodded. Okay, how much do you want? 10 billion. Ning Shu shook his head. No, only 2 billion. Bai Hanmo said, 3 billion. Ning Shu looked hesitant. Bai Hanmo suppressed his irritable emotions. As long as the company survives this crisis, I will marry you. Ning Shu's expression changed. Finally, she nodded. Then 3 billion it is. You must marry me. Ning Shu transferred the 3 billion to Bai Hanmo. After receiving the money, Bai Hanmo heaved a sigh of relief. Ning Shu and Ding Ningdi walked out of the company. He said to Ding Ningdi with a smile, you have to keep your promise and leave Bai Hanmo. Ding Ningdi nodded. I will keep my promise. I hope you can treat Bai Hanmo well. Ning Shu smiled the whole time. He watched Ding Ningdi, who looked sad, get into the car. After that, Ding Ningdi moved out of Bai Hanmo's villa. She didn't go back to the Ding family. Instead, she found a place to live. Ning Shu knew that Bai Hanmo and Ding Ningdi had a private relationship. Ning Shu pretended that he didn't know anything. With Ning Shu's investment, the company's capital chain was not broken. After so many things had happened, there was finally one thing that made people feel better. Bai Hanmo didn't feel guilty about using Ning Shu's money. He had always wanted to use Ning Shu. Therefore, he still had a private relationship with Ding Ningdi. Although Ding Ningdi said that she would keep her promise with Ning Shu, every time Bai Hanmo came to visit her, she would hesitate for a while and never drive Bai Hanmo away. Yes, these times together were stolen. When Bai Hanmo and her sister got married, it would be time for her to leave. Lian Min knew that Ning Shu had given the money to Bai Hanmo. When she saw Ning Shu, she said that Ning Shu was a fool. The Bai family's company was about to collapse. Now that it was revived, there was no need to think about it. There was a new investment. Especially recently, Bai Hanmo had been very active. He even held a press conference. His attitude was very sincere. In order to make up for what had happened before, the Bai family's company reduced the price of their products by half. No matter what product it was, the price was reduced by half. For a while, it caused a rush. It was reduced by half. Things that cost 10,000 yuan only cost 5,000 yuan. Those who were slow would get nothing. Everyone liked to take advantage of others. When there was an advantage, who would care about what had happened before? Bai Hanmo's move stunned his peers. If they reduced the price by half, they would lose money. They didn't dare to play at all. Bai Hanmo only dared to offer a 50% discount because he had gotten 3 billion yuan for free. The stocks that had fallen to the limit were slowly recovering. Lian Min was speechless at Ning Shu. Ning Shu was still calmly doing his own business. The final outcome was still unknown, the company slowly stabilized. The irritable Bai Hanmo was finally able to control his emotions. Although he still lost his temper over small matters, Bai Hanmo's mood improved a lot when he saw that the company was about to be revived. Bai Hanmo found that sometimes he couldn't control his emotions at all. When he got angry, his head would become muddled. It felt like his emotions were controlling him. When he got angry, his internal organs would hurt as if they were being burned by a raging fire. Bai Hanmo went to the hospital for a checkup. The doctor prescribed him some calming drugs. He said that Bai Hanmo was under too much pressure. He usually didn't pay attention to releasing his negative emotions. He suppressed them in his heart, so he became like this. This was because his body couldn't bear it and he wanted to release his emotions. For the time being, Bai Hanmo believed the doctor's words. He took the calming drugs. When he was free, he liked to look for Ding Ningdi. This was because smelling Ding Ningdi's scent could calm his heart. Mobile users, please visit this wonderful novel at any time. This chapter is 1455. If you think this chapter is good, please don't forget to recommend it to your friends in the QQ group and Weibo. Chapter 1456. A wonderful novel to read at any time. Mobile users please visit. Bai Hanmo felt very comfortable when he smelled Ding Ningdi's scent, and his anxious heart calmed down. He felt that the restlessness in his heart had calmed down, and some kind of desire in his heart had been satisfied. It was as if he was addicted. Bai Hanmo only felt that he loved Ding Ningdi to the bone. He felt very uncomfortable when he could not smell this scent for a while. It was a bit like taking drugs. At the thought of taking drugs, Bai Hanmo felt that something was not right. Recently, he seemed to have exploded. Any small matter would make him fly into a rage, and his anger had blinded his mind. Did he really come into contact with something bad? Bai Hanmo smelled Ding Ningdi's scent. That elegant scent floated into his nose, and his body felt very comfortable. Bai Hanmo did not believe that Ding Ningdi would do anything to hurt him. Bai Hanmo only thought that he was so irritable because he had lost. Moreover, Ding Ningdi was so kind. What did you apply? It smells so good. Bai Hanmo finally asked. Ding Ningdi said, it's a body cream that Lien Min gave me. This cream is actually very good. It's very good for the skin. Where did Lien Min get it? Bai Hanmo asked. Don't use any unbranded products. Many madams and young ladies use it. It's fine. Do you still have any more of that cream? Bai Hanmo asked. I'll help you run a test. Don't let me see if it has any toxic effects. Ding Ningdi nodded. There's still some left. I'll give it to you. Bai Hanmo nodded and began to smell Ding Ningdi's neck. Although he suspected that there was something wrong with this cream, the smell was really good. It made him want to swallow Ding Ningdi. The two of them made love. After that, Bai Hanmo took the cream to run a test. When he found out that the person who made the cream was Ning Shu, he felt uncomfortable at that time, especially when he heard that her things were selling very well recently. They were all natural things. Bai Hanmo had some thoughts in his mind. This was good stuff. Ning Shu was making the cream recipe when she received a call that she had never received since she came to this world. When the name popped up, Ning Shu was stunned for a moment. She did not know that Bai Hanmo's number was on her phone. On the phone, Bai Hanmo asked Ning Shu to meet and have a meal. Ning Shu raised her eyebrows. This was the first time in her life. Ning Shu refused decisively. One wouldn't visit a temple without a reason. Bai Hanmo didn't like her at all and even asked her to meet. It was definitely not something. Ning Shu hung up the phone and didn't want to talk more with Bai Hanmo. She couldn't be bothered to deal with him. She must be asking for money again. Bai Hanmo stared at his phone in a daze. Was this the kind of person who wanted money and insisted on marrying him? Why did this feel wrong? Logically speaking, how could someone who could give him $3 billion to marry him be so cold? Was she playing hard to get? It was useless to play hard to get. Bai Hanmo knew that Ding Ningdi liked him. If she really did not like him, why would she go against Ding Ningdi? Wasn't it because she wanted to fight for him? Bai Hanmo called Ning Shu again. When Ning Shu saw that it was Bai Hanmo's number, she immediately hung up. Don't disturb me when I'm doing business. Bai Hanmo was speechless. Was she addicted to playing hard to get? Bai Hanmo put down his phone. Did she really think that he wanted to make a call? He just wanted to ask about the cream. It was okay to marry such a woman. After marrying her, he could worship her and earn money. However, the one he loved was Ding Ningdi, so he would never marry this woman. She would take the $3 billion as repayment for Ding Ningdi. In the past, she had always bullied Ding Ningdi. Now, she would take it as compensation. In the future, he would treat Ding Ningdi even better. Fortunately, the company was slowly getting on track. The products had also returned to their original price. They could not stay so cheap. They were already losing money. They could not go on like this. A price war was not a long-term solution. When the Bai family's products increased in price, the customers were already used to the cheap prices. Even if the prices were normal now, they were still unhappy. In the past, they could sell the products cheaply. Why did the prices increase now? They did not want to buy the products because they were cheap. Now that they were not cheap, who would still sell them? Then, the Bai family's products faced an awkward situation where no one cared about them. In the end, it was this series of events that made the Bai family lose people's support. Bai Hanmo was speechless. He had thought that the company was on track, but the situation was still not good. Bai Hanmo was so angry that his head was about to explode. Even his heart began to ache. His heart was spasming, making him feel very uncomfortable. Bai Hanmo suspected that he had a heart attack. If this continued, he might go crazy. Why were things still so fucked up? Bai Hanmo did not feel very good, especially when he heard the secretary say that the company's stock price had begun to fall again. Bai Hanmo's head was dizzy. Moreover, at this time, someone was still selling the company's shares at a low price. Such a move was a disaster for the company. Bai Hanmo suppressed the anger in his heart. Go and find out who is selling the shares. It was obvious that they had a grudge. They wanted to trample on the company and harm others without benefiting themselves. Selling the shares at such a low price would lower the company's stock price. The people who owned the shares would also lose a lot of money. A conspiracy. This was a conspiracy. Bai Hanmo knew that someone was deliberately selling the shares, but there was nothing he could do. Because until now, he did not even know who was selling the shares. The other party was willing to lose money to sell the shares in their hands. Bai Hanmo flipped the table in anger. He looked a little crazy. The depression in his heart could not be dispelled. No matter what he did, it could not be dispelled. He really wanted to destroy the world. The company had clearly started to improve, but now it was facing the same situation as before. After failing once, he thought that he could get back up, but he failed again. Even a strong-willed person could not withstand such a blow again and again. Just as he saw a little hope, it was extinguished again. Bai Hanmo's frustration now was even stronger than the first failure. He was disheartened. He even felt that he was a failure and could not get back up. He fell into a pit and did not want to get back up. He was afraid of the blows again and again. There was even a voice in his heart telling him, "Stop. You are a failure. If it were not for the Bai family, you would have nothing." He could not get back up again. He could not borrow money. The company was going to go bankrupt. The previous 3 billion was almost coaxed and cheated. If it happened again, he would not be able to get it. He had nothing left. He had nothing left. Bai Hanmo was disheartened like never before. The last time the company was in such a situation, he did not feel so strongly. The failure this time strengthened the psychological impact that he was a failure and could never get back up. The blow this time was an unprecedented blow to Bai Hanmo's mind. Wonderful novel to read at any time. Mobile users, please visit. This chapter is 1456. If you think this chapter is good, please don't forget to recommend it to your friends in the QQ group and Weibo. Chapter 1457. Wonderful novel to read at any time. Mobile users, please visit. The higher you stand, the harder you fall. Bai Hanmo was a proud person. The continuous blows crushed Bai Hanmo's dignity into mud. He fell again, but he didn't know if he could stand up again. This time, it was even more difficult to stand up than the first time. If he couldn't stand up, he would never be able to stand up again. Bai Hanmo's heart was filled with irritation and despair. Bai Hanmo could only watch as the stock price, which had been rising at a snail's pace, finally fell like a rolling ball under the influence of gravity. It was just that the curve was falling, and a lot of money was gone and evaporated. Bai Hanmo had no choice but to take out all the 3 billion yuan that Ning Shu gave him to run the company. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that the company couldn't survive, but Bai Hanmo just held on. Bai Hanmo had no choice but to ask Ning Shu for money again. Ning Shu directly said that she didn't have money. The stocks she sold were all money, and she lost a lot of money. However, this money was originally from selling the Ding family's company. She didn't feel bad spending it. She was still not satisfied with 3 billion yuan. Did she have to give him another 3 billion yuan? Bai Hanmo was very angry at Ning Shu's rejection. This was expected. However, if this continued, the company wouldn't be able to survive. The employees' wages, the workers' wages. There were many factories under the Bai family's company. Because they couldn't sell their products, they had stopped working. However, they still had to pay these people. Just the wages alone weren't a small amount. Bai Hanmo had no choice but to start buying and selling factories. Most of these factories were bought by his peers. Moreover, it was at a low price. These factories were the foundation. Without factories, there would be no products. Without products, how could they make a profit? Bai Hanmo knew that this was drinking poison to quench his thirst. However, there were still many big holes to fill. Moreover, it was better to get some money back now. Bai Hanmo became more and more irritable. He waited until almost all the factories under the company were sold. Bai Hanmo planned to use the money to start afresh. However, at the thought of starting over, Bai Hanmo's heart was filled with resistance and fear. He was afraid of experiencing failure again and again. There was already a shadow in his heart. Bai Hanmo even thought that since he had so much money on hand, it was enough for him to use for the rest of his life. Why should he go into business and bear so much pressure? Once this thought appeared, it was as if it had taken root in his heart, and he couldn't get rid of it. As long as he had money, he could live the life he wanted with Ding Ningdi. He was free and didn't need to run around for money. The more Bai Hanmo thought about it, the better he felt. He didn't know why he was earning so much money. After thinking it through, Bai Hanmo was no longer as anxious as before. He told Ding Ningdi his thoughts. Ding Ningdi felt that it was inappropriate, but she did as Bai Hanmo said. Anyway, Bai Hanmo was bankrupt, so she would no longer be threatened by her sister. She also didn't have to keep her promise to leave Bai Hanmo. No matter what Bai Hanmo was like, she would never leave him. After the Bai family went bankrupt, Bai Hanmo and Ding Ningdi disappeared in front of everyone and lived a low-key life. The bankruptcy of the Bai family's company made many companies breathe a sigh of relief. Ning Shu was speechless. "Where's my 3 billion yuan? Aren't you going to return it to me?" Ning Shu didn't expect Bai Hanmo to return the money. When he said that he wanted to marry her, he just wanted to cheat her of the money in her hands. She gave Bai Hanmo money, but she didn't want Bai Hanmo to marry her. She just wanted him to experience failure again. She wanted to destroy a person's fighting spirit. There were many reasons and results for Bai Hanmo to be where he was today. Ning Shu wasn't dealing with him alone. Ning Shu asked a private investigator to find out where Bai Hanmo and Ding Ningdi were now. Were the two of them going to live in seclusion? The private investigator found out that the two of them had gone abroad and were now living abroad. So they had gone abroad. No wonder there was no news at all in China. Ning Shu asked the private investigator if Bai Hanmo had started a new business. The private investigator found out that Bai Hanmo didn't set up a company abroad. It seemed that Bai Hanmo was really scared. The higher the position, the harder it was to climb back up. He wanted Bai Hanmo to start from scratch. For a business deal, he had to smile and put in a good word for it. Bai Hanmo definitely couldn't let go of his pride. Moreover, he had money in his hands, so he could live any kind of life. Now that Bai Hanmo had gone abroad, Ning Shu couldn't be bothered to care about it anymore. She was doing her own small business. Her products were becoming more and more famous, but Ning Shu still made the same amount of products. She didn't think about increasing the production. It wasn't easy to make, so it wasn't valuable in large quantities. After Bai Hanmo and Ding Ningdi ran away, Lian Min would mock Ning Shu every time she saw her. Are you stupid? A man coaxed your money with just a few words. He even said that he wanted to get married. What about now? Ning Shu was speechless. Ning Shu was busy with the work in her hands. She said speechlessly, "Can you not poke at my wound? You'll learn your lesson if you talk more. How much beauty cream do you have to make to earn back that much money?" Lian Min said with a cold and disdainful expression. Is Bai Hanmo made of gold and jade? That's why you sisters are so infatuated with him. Ning Shu said nonchalantly, just treat it as a lesson. It won't happen again. Ning Shu handed the burn ointment to Lian Min. Stop talking. I can recite what you said. Don't be so ungrateful. If it were someone else, I wouldn't have bothered to say anything. Lian Min took the ointment and looked at Ning Shu. Are you going on a blind date? Ning Shu didn't say anything. Lian Min said again, are you still waiting for Bai Hanmo? Why would I wait for him? We'll talk about the blind date later. I don't want to get married now. Ning Shu rejected her directly. Why don't you marry into my family? I have 2 older brothers. Lian Min said to Ning Shu. Ning Shu clicked her tongue. Your older brother is going to inherit the company. His future wife will definitely be a business partner. As for your second brother, he doesn't have a good impression of me. It's better to keep him. The 2 older brothers of the Lian family had always felt that Ning Shu was using Lian Min. They didn't have a good impression of Ning Shu. Besides, Ning Shu didn't want to marry into the Lian family. Who Ding Shueching wanted to marry in the future was her own business. It had nothing to do with Ning Shu. Last time, my big brother asked me to thank you for the land. Your brother will definitely think that it was a blind cat that bumped into a dead mouse, Ning Shu said casually. Luck is also a kind of strength, Lian Min said. Ning Shu changed the topic. What kind of person do you want to marry? With the scars on my body, I think all men will dislike me. Let's talk about it later, Lian Min said. Although it's not as scary as before, it's still quite scary. Ning Shu said, oh. You'll meet a man who doesn't care about your scars and will see your shining soul. Men and women were visual creatures. Being good-looking meant having good genes. Being good-looking and being good-looking meant having good genes. Mobile users, please visit this wonderful novel at any time. This chapter is 1457. If you think this chapter is good, please don't forget to recommend it to your friends in the QQ group and Weibo. Chapter 1458. Wonderful novel to read at any time, mobile users please visit. Lian Min was just scalded. She was not really ugly. She had the temperament and the money. Even if no man liked her, it did not matter. Is Auntie not back yet? Lian Min asked. Ning Shu shrugged. She is probably at a fashion show. Ding's mom seemed to have found her life goal. She pursued all kinds of trends and was having a lot of fun. Occasionally, she would call Ning Shu and tell Ning Shu not to worry. Every day, she would take all kinds of photos and post them on the internet. Mrs. Ding had become an internet trendsetter as she took photos while walking. Ning Shu felt that with Ding's mom's current state, he would probably have to find her a stepfather. It was good to be away from the bad things. It was good to start a new life. Lian Min patted Ning Shu on the shoulder. I am leaving now. Let me tell you, stop thinking about Bai Hanmo. He is probably living a very comfortable life. You don't know yet, right? Ding Ningdi's celebrity mother is divorced from your father, Lien Min said. Ning Shu nodded and put a flower in the vase. I know. Ning Shu had expected that Ji Lu and Ding Yen would divorce. Ding Yen had married Ji Lu for Bai Hanmo and to get into the Bai family. Now that the Bai family had fallen and his daughter had run away with someone else, Ding Yen would not keep Ji Lu, who only knew how to spend money. Ji Lu had wanted to live a comfortable life. Ding Yen was not a rich man now. His company was gone and he did not even want to spend money on her. They had been together because of benefits, but now they had broken up. After the divorce, Ji Lu could still find someone else. Are you unhappy? Lien Min asked. Ning Shu asked, why should I be happy? What does it have to do with me? When she caused your mother to get a divorce, I thought you hated her, Lien Min said. There's nothing to hate. After getting rid of Ding Yen, Ding's mom wasn't living a comfortable life. She didn't have to swallow her anger, she didn't have to watch her illegitimate daughter, and she didn't have to tolerate her husband messing around outside. Lien Min nodded. Auntie is doing well now. You should go out more. You smell like medicine. Let's go abroad together someday. Okay, when are you free? Ning Shu said with a smile. Are you really not planning to marry my second brother? If you marry my second brother, you will be my sister-in-law. We will be family. Lien Min tilted her head and asked Ning Shu. Of my two elder brothers, I think my second elder brother sounds quite cute. My eldest brother is too stuffy and has a heavy burden on his shoulders. He acts like an old man and isn't very cute. Lien Min Ning Shu recommended her two brothers. Ning Shu clicked his tongue. You used the word cute to describe your second brother. If your second brother heard it, his dignity would be trampled by you. The two Lien brothers weren't interested in her. Lien Min was jumping up and down. Besides, she was going to leave this world soon. Everyone in this world was just a passerby. Lien Min saw that Ning Shu really didn't have any intentions in this regard, so she didn't say anything. She took the burn medicine and Mrs. Lien's nourishing medicine and left. It was so interesting to earn money every day. It felt so good to see the money coming in one after another. After that, Ning Shu received a call from Ding Yen asking her to go back for dinner. Ning Shu directly refused. Ding Yen was instantly unhappy. Although I divorced your mother, I am still your father. What? Do you want to cut off all ties with me? He had never contacted her in the past. Why was she suddenly contacting him now? But he had divorced Ji Lu. Now he wanted to remarry Ding's mom. Ning Shu took some time to go back to the Ding family home. When she saw Ding Ningdi sitting on the sofa in the living room, she was stunned. Shouldn't Ding Ningdi be abroad with Bai Hanmo at this time? Why was she back? Could it be that Bai Hanmo was back too? It had only been a few months. Why was he back so soon? Ning Shu walked over and sat opposite Ding Ningdi. They hadn't seen each other for a while. Ding Ningdi looked a little haggard. Her face had become smaller and she looked even more lovely. Sister, Ding Ningdi called Ning Shu carefully. Why are you back? Ning Shu asked. Where is Bai Hanmo? Ding Ningdi said softly, Bai Hanmo is still abroad. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows in surprise. You came back alone. Ding Ningdi had left Bai Hanmo alone abroad. Could it be that something had happened between her and Bai Hanmo? Ding Ningdi had come back alone after throwing a tantrum. Ding Ningdi pursed her lips and didn't say anything. Ning Shu couldn't be bothered to ask either. He just had to check with the detective agency to find out. Ding Yen came downstairs. When he saw Ning Shu, he asked Ning Shu gently and lovingly, Where's your mother? Ning Shu. She's still abroad, Ning Shu said. Ding Yen sighed. Ever since you divorced your mother, the house has become much quieter. Ning Shu was expressionless. Ding Ningdi felt a little embarrassed. What was her mother? You should move back too, Ding Yen said to Ning Shu. Ning Shu just said, I'm living a good life outside. I'll come back to see you when I'm free. He was not free at all. Ding Yen didn't look happy. In the end, he suppressed his anger and asked Ning Shu to eat. He didn't give Ding Ningdi a good look the whole time. Ding Yen used to feel sorry for Ding Ningdi. Why didn't he feel sorry for her now? Looking at Ding Ningdi sitting at the dining table, her face was filled with embarrassment. After dinner, Ning Shu chatted with Ding Yen for a while and then left. Only Ding Yen and Ding Ningdi were left in the villa. It was quite empty. Ding Yen really wanted to get married again. After going through so much, he realized that the previous person was good. But he didn't know if the previous person was still waiting for him. Don't think too highly of yourself. After leaving the Ding family, Ning Shu found a private investigation agency and asked them to investigate Bai Hanmo who was abroad. Ding Ningdi loved Bai Hanmo so much. How could she leave Bai Hanmo and go back to China alone? After that, Ning Shu video chatted with Ding's mom and told her about Ding Yan's intention. In the video, Ding's mom looked disgusted. Next time, if he says that again, just tell him that I will never enter the Ding family's coffin. Also, Ding's mom had some money. Ding Yen might be thinking about that. Although Ding Yen bought back the company from Bai Hanmo, the company was in a mess. It was not easy to get it back. Soon, the private investigation agency got some news. He gave Ning Shu some photos. In the photos, there was an unkempt man. If the private investigator hadn't told Ning Shu that this was Bai Hanmo, Ning Shu wouldn't have recognized him. What had Bai Hanmo gone through to become like this? If he looked like this, it was no wonder that Ding Ningdi left Bai Hanmo. Bai Hanmo looked too decadent. He didn't have the domineering aura he used to have when he wore a custom-made suit. Wasn't he rich? Ning Shu had some guesses about why he had become like this. Ning Shu flipped through the photos. In the photos, Bai Hanmo was either in a bar or a casino. Mobile users, please visit this wonderful novel at any time. This chapter is 1458. If you think this chapter is good, please don't forget to recommend it to your friends in the QQ group and Weibo. Chapter 1459. Wonderful novel to read at any time, mobile users please visit. In the photo, there was a picture of Bai Hanmo poking himself with a needle. Bai Hanmo was tainted with something bad. Ning Shu had more or less guessed that she had put some ingredients in the perfume. This stuff would make people irritable and unable to control their emotions. It had a little hallucinogenic effect, but it was not harmful to apply it on the body. At that time, Bai Hanmo was holding Ding Ningdi and nibbling on it. These things accumulated over time, and the symptoms became more obvious. Bai Hanmo was obviously looking for excitement when he got involved with these things. Prostitution, gambling, and drugs were all things that burned money. Could it be that he was too bored because he had no job and his family had a lot of money, so he wanted to have some fun? The private investigator said, "It's a bit chaotic abroad." Bai Hanmo was tainted with these things because he was dragged into it by someone. Once addicted, it was impossible to get rid of it. What about Ding Ningdi? Ning Shu asked. Because Bai Hanmo was tainted with these things, Ding Ningdi kept persuading him, but Bai Hanmo did not listen. The two of them were not on good terms. Ning Shu sighed. He thought that Bai Hanmo would take the money to develop his business abroad and open a company there. He did not expect that he would really go and live a carefree life. Obviously, the last two failures made Bai Hanmo deny his own ability. He was sure that he could not do it and did not want to suffer the pain of failure again. Bai Hanmo's fighting spirit was crushed. It was like he had just escaped and found that he was still in a dangerous place. It was enough to break him down. For someone like Bai Hanmo, no amount of money was enough. It was not enough even if he had a mountain of gold and silver. He did not know if Bai Hanmo would come back to Ding Ningdi. Ding Ningdi was in a dilemma now. Now, Ding Yen did not like her. But other than Ding Yen, she had no one to rely on. Even if they broke up, Ding Ningdi had a bad reputation. After all, they had been in a high-profile relationship before. Everyone knew that Ding Ningdi was Bai Hanmo's wife. Ding Ningdi was probably not a member of a prestigious family. Moreover, the Ding family was in decline now, and the company could not be compared to before. Therefore, in the end, Ding Ningdi could only rely on Ding Yen. Unfortunately, she used to side with outsiders. Ding Yen had a knot in his heart because of the things he did. Ning Shu put away the photos and gave the private investigator a sum of money to keep an eye on Bai Hanmo. If Bai Hanmo returned to the country, he would inform her immediately. This mission was more or less completed. If Ding Xueqing insisted that Bai Hanmo be her man in life and her ghost in death, then Bai Hanmo would be her ghost. After all, Bai Hanmo and Ding Ningdi had not registered their marriage. Ning Shu suddenly thought of a way to win over a scumbag. That was to turn him into something that was neither human nor ghost. There was nothing left of him. Then, appear in front of him and save him or fuck him so that he could not leave you. That was how trembling was cultivated. This was the way some men treated women. They would make her have no one to rely on but him. It was the same the other way around. Ning Shu was too lazy to look for Bai Hanmo. If he had the energy, he might as well write down the recipe for the ointment. He wrote down the amount of herbs and the choice of herbs in detail. When the client came back, he could continue this business. The mission was more or less completed. Ning Shu was a little lazy. He kept thinking about the laws. How could he master the laws? Did he have to go to the Sea of Laws where the plane was born to meditate? Or go for a swim? Ning Shu did not know the concept of the laws at all. He did not know how to master the laws. He also did not know how to start or where to start. He was happy. Ding Yen called Ning Shu every 2 to 3 days. He asked, "Where's your mother? Why isn't she back yet? Where did she go? Call me when she's back. Did she change her number? Why can't I get through? Give me your mother's number." Ning Shu's mind was filled with, "Your mother." Looking at Ding Yan's eagerness, he really wanted to remarry Ding's mom. Ning Shu said that he did not know. He said that Ding's mom changed her number every time she went to a place. He did not know her number at all. Actually, Ning Shu did not approve of Ding's mom and Ding Yen getting back together. He did not know if he would abandon her for some reason next time. Especially when he had hit Ding's mom. Now that he was down and out, he was thinking about his ex-wife. Every time Ding Yen called, Ning Shu would give him a half-hearted answer. It was not like he lacked love. He wanted a little fatherly love. He had ulterior motives. He lacked love. Ning Shu made a heart sign to himself. Mission complete. Do you want to leave the mission world? 2333's voice sounded in his mind. Leave. Ning Shu felt dizzy and returned to the system space in a flash. Ning Shu sat on the sofa and clicked on the panel to look at her harvest. Name, Ning Shu. Advanced Mission Taker. Age, 27. Contribution points, 93 million soul points, 350 health points, 350 wisdom, 424 charm, 70 spirit, 320 faith, 3115 combat points, 452 aptitude, 199 merit, 1520 skills, 5th ring shooting technique, intermediate close combat technique, advanced martial arts, advanced poison technique, elementary business management knowledge, elementary code programming, elementary lawyer skills, elementary ghost catching skill. Honorary titles, Goddess of War, Selfless Ancestor items, Calming Aura, Calming Pill, Faith Aura, Amulet 4, Upgraded Amulet 2 auras, Mother of the World, Queen's blessing, model worker, Chen Shi's blessing, leader aura, grass blessing, best friend of a lifetime, Miao Miao Miao's blessing. Life-saving hand, Zhu Su, blessing, founding woman, Chen Ermiai's blessing, beauty of the judiciary, Chen Ning's blessing, bane of the blood clan, Jasmine's blessing, cross-species communication, by San Yang's blessing. Note, communication can only be achieved within a certain range of wisdom. Complete Ding Ning Dai's wish. You will not let Ding Ning Dai, that little white flower, have it easy. Mission completion rate, 100%. Reward, 8 million points, 0 attribute points, 4,000 faith. Congratulations, mission taker. You have reached 100 million points and 40,000 faith. You have reached the standard of a super mission taker. A faint voice sounded in the system space. This voice was not 2333's at all. Ning Shu froze for a moment. He was happy that he had become a super mission taker. Ning Shu asked 2333, who spoke just now. It's the main system. 2333 said, congratulations, you are now a super mission taker. Ha ha ha, same to you. Ning Shu laughed so hard that his mouth cracked. Now, he was at least a decent mission enforcer. He had taken another step forward and was getting closer and closer to the top. One day, he would understand the organization and come into contact with the people above. He would not be like a frog at the bottom of a well like he was now. Mobile users, please visit this wonderful novel at any time. This chapter is 1459. If you think this chapter is good, please don't forget to recommend it to your friends in the QQ group and Weibo. Chapter 1460. The first thing that came to Ning Shu's mind was the benefits of becoming a super mission enforcer. What about the benefits? Ning Shu asked 2333. She was looking forward to the benefits of becoming a super mission enforcer. 2333 replied, once you complete the trial mission, you can enter the space that only super mission enforcers can enter. That space is the same as the virtual space, but only super mission enforcers can enter. You can cultivate your soul there, and it is said that there is a certain chance of understanding the laws. 2333 explained. When Ning Shu heard that she could understand the laws in that space, she became very happy. She was just thinking about how to understand the laws. 2333 poured cold water on her. Only after completing the trial mission can you become an official super mission enforcer. Only then can you enter that space and get a place. Even if you enter the space, there are many super mission enforcers there. You may not be able to get a place. Also, there is a violent and uncontrollable law inside. Your soul may be torn to pieces if you enter. Ning Shu, take it slow. I have already come this far. Ning Shu felt that she could endure it. An. 2333 spoke again. Ning Shu's heart skipped a beat. She really didn't like chatting with 2333. Also, you have to complete 3 chain quests, 2333 said. 3 trial missions. Ning Shu asked, how many others? 1. Ning Shu almost jumped up. Then why was there only 3 of them? The main system is targeting me, Meng Meng. Ning Shu hugged herself, her heart aching. You failed the trial mission, so it accumulated. Ning Shu, whether you want to see it or not, the failure will always be there. Ning Shu, whining for no reason, if you fail one of the 3 trial missions, then you will have 6 trial missions next time. If you fail one of the 6 trial missions, then you will have 9 trial missions next time. 3 trial missions, 3 trial missions. Ning Shu, what can I say? I am so desperate, what if I want to stop the trial mission midway? Ning Shu asked tentatively. Then you won't be able to enter a space where you can cultivate your soul and comprehend the laws. This is the benefit of a super mission taker. If you can't get it, then there's nothing I can do. You are just an ordinary super quest taker, 2333 said. Ning Shu let out a long sigh. He felt that it was really cruel. Even if he became a super task taker, he might not be able to enjoy it. Do we really have to do so many quests? Ning Shu asked. There was an endless chain of quests in between. 2333 said, it's your fault for failing the advanced quest. You didn't start over, but your failure was already recorded. Do you understand? Ning Shu, I need some peace and quiet, it's just like playing Tetris. Mistakes and misunderstandings accumulate and success will disappear. 2333 explained to Ning Shu. Failure was always there and would only accumulate. Once these failures accumulated enough, they would face elimination. Just as he was happy for a while, he was struck by lightning. Every day was spent in shock. Ning Shu felt that he was still strong and did not cry. Ning Shu took a deep breath. There was no use regretting it. At that time, he did give up on the mission. Ning Shu sat on the sofa and saw that his status panel had been cleared. Name, Ning Shu. Age, 27. Level, Super Mission Taker. Points card, 100, 10 million points for 1 point card. Soul value, 0. Health value, 0. Wisdom, 0. Charm, 0. Spirit, 0. Martial strength, 0. Aptitude, 0. Faith, 36115 Merit, 15260 Skills, 5th Ring Shooting Technique, Intermediate Combat Technique, Exceptional Martial Arts Proficiency, Intermediate Poison Technique, Elementary Business Management Knowledge, Elementary Code Programming, Elementary Lawyer Skills, Elementary Ghost Catching Skill. Honorary titles, Goddess of War, Selfless Ancestor Items, Calming Halo, Calming Pill, Faith Halo, Amulet 4, Upgraded Amulet 2 Halo, Mother of the World, Queen's Blessing, Model Worker, Chen Shi's Blessing, Leader Halo, Grassa's Blessing, Best Friend for Life, Miao Miao Miao's Blessing, Healer of the Dying, Zhu Su Nyang's Blessing, Founding Woman, Chen Ermiai's Blessing, Beauty of the Law, Chen Ning's Blessing, Blood Clan's Bane, Jasmine's Blessing, Cross-Race Communication, by Sun Yang's Blessing. Note, communication can only be achieved within a certain range of intelligence, other than age, points card, faith and merit, all the other attributes became 0. There was a recalculation method. Looking at the series of zeros, he felt like he was back to square one. He hugged himself in pain. Live well. Every day was a blow. Ning Shu closed the status panel. Looking at it made his eyes hurt. Ning Shu sat cross-legged on the sofa and began to cultivate. When she was done, she opened the chat system and sent a message to Mei Ziqing, asking him about the trial mission of the Super Mission Enforcer. Ning Shu sent the message, but there was no reply. She probably went to do the mission and couldn't see the message. Ning Shu was afraid that she would pick a mission that was too difficult. During the high-level mission trial, she picked a mission that was too difficult, so she didn't continue the mission. At that time, she spent 5,000 faith points. In the end, she failed until now. That 5,000 faith points were wasted. There were traps everywhere. If she knew this would happen, Ning Shu would have definitely completed the mission. Things couldn't be avoided. At that time, she was afraid. Now, it was much more difficult for her to enter the law space. 3 missions in a row. If she failed one, it would be 6. If she failed one more, it would be 9. If she failed one more, it would be 12. It felt so good. If he failed, this trial mission could be repeated endlessly. Thinking about it gave her a headache. But if she gave up, she wouldn't be able to enter the law space to understand the laws. Physical strength wasn't strong. Only the power of the laws was strong. He had to get this benefit no matter what. He could also get in touch with other super mission takers. Up until now, Ning Shu still didn't know much about this organization. There were many things that he didn't understand. They only knew how to fulfill the wishes of others, and the mission taker would be rewarded with eternal life and power. Then who organized such an organization? Ning Shu stood up and felt that he needed to eat something to calm himself down. Ning Shu stood at the entrance to the virtual space and appeared on the quaint bluestone street in a flash. Ning Shu went to the restaurant and ordered something to eat. While eating, he listened to the gossip. Chapter 1461. The people in this restaurant were all mission enforcers. There were men and women, old and young. Ning Shu even saw a 7 or 8-year-old child. Such a young child was also a mission enforcer. This child looked old and was wearing an ancient scholar's robe. His wide robe with long sleeves made him look cute. The child noticed that Ning Shu was looking at him and put down his chopsticks. Ning Shu walked over. Ning Shu gave an ancient greeting and asked, "Why are you looking at me?" Ning Shu saw that this child was from ancient times and stood up to return the greeting. "I saw you at first glance, so I took a second look." The child was very polite. "Is it because I'm young?" "Yes." Ning Shu nodded. "How old are you? How long have you been a mission enforcer?" Ning Shu asked the child to sit down and ordered a plate of pastries for him. Ning Shu cupped his hands and took a piece of pastry. "I became a mission enforcer when I was 9. I don't know how long I've lived, but it should be quite long." Ning Shu was speechless. It seemed that he had been a mission enforcer for a long time. Just like Ning Shu, he stayed in each world for a period of time. He didn't know how long he had lived either. Although his status panel said that he was 27 years old, Ning Shu felt that he was at least 100 years old. He spent 2 to 3 years in each world. After experiencing so many worlds, even if he wasn't 100 years old, he was at least 200 years old. Ancient people were precocious. 9 years old was nothing strange. However, he died when he was 9 years old. He died very early, a premature death. "Thank you for the pastries." Ning Shu cupped his hands. He was already a mission enforcer, but he still acted like an ancient person. Etiquette and rules were deeply ingrained in his bones. The child didn't tell Ning Shu his name and left after exchanging some pleasantries. Once the child left, Ning Shu bought some pastries and ate them while shopping. After a while, he slowly returned to the system space. The chat system dinged. Someone had sent him a message. It was Mei Ziqing. Ning Shu ate the snacks and opened the chat system. "Mei Ziqing, congratulations on becoming a super mission taker. Ning Shu, I would like to ask about the precept space." Mei Ziqing, the precept space. The precept space was created by the higher-ups for mission enforcers to comprehend the precepts. Only super mission enforcers can enter. Mei Ziqing, that's why you have to pass the trial mission. Even if you have to grit your teeth, you have to pass it. If you can't enter the precept space, the gap between the super mission takers will only widen. Ning Shu let out a long sigh. It seemed like this trial mission was a matter of life and death. Ning Shu told Mei Ziqing in a desperate tone, "I have 3 chain missions, Mei Ziqing, don't be afraid. Many super mission takers are like you, doing chain missions. I've seen one who accumulated 90 missions. Ning Shu, 90 chain missions, Ning Shu, is it very difficult to enter this law space?" Mei Ziqing, it's very difficult. It's not easy to comprehend precepts. I've been in the precept space for so long, but I haven't comprehended any precepts. Mei Ziqing, and I've added all my attributes to wisdom, but I haven't comprehended any precepts. What the fuck? Ning Shu couldn't help but laugh. It was true that power couldn't be achieved overnight. Ning Shu, is it very difficult to comprehend? Mei Ziqing. It's not very difficult, it's extremely difficult. Powerful precepts like time and space are hard to comprehend. But the simpler precepts, simple precepts like wind and water, I can't comprehend them. Ning Shu let out a sigh. If she couldn't comprehend precepts in the precept space, she wouldn't be able to comprehend precepts if she couldn't enter the precept space. Therefore, no matter if it was 3, 6, or 9 chain missions, she had to complete them. After discussing some matters with Mei Ziqing, Ning Shu closed the chat system. Mei Ziqing sent Ning Shu a gift to congratulate Ning Shu on becoming a super mission taker. It was a bracelet that looked like a crystal. It was quite pretty. He liked it. In order to prepare for the 3 chain missions, Ning Shu wanted to relax and replenish his energy. He clicked on the screen to see how Ding Xueqing was doing. He also saw how Ding Ningdi was doing. Ning Shu didn't do anything to Ding Ningdi, but Ding Ningdi didn't have a backer. Ning Shu lay on the sofa and stared at the screen. Bai Hanmo was very rich, but no matter how much money he had, he couldn't bear to spend it on eating, drinking, and gambling. Also, it was poisonous. It burned money. Also, these things destroyed a person's mind, body, and even dignity. In order to have such things, one would do anything. Commit crimes. And Bai Hanmo was addicted to this kind of life. But one day, he would run out of money. The onset of a drug addiction was very painful. Pain required drugs to relieve the pain, but drugs required money. Bai Hanmo had used up all his money, so he could only go back to China to look for Ding Ningdi. Ding Ningdi still had feelings for Bai Hanmo. Seeing Bai Hanmo in so much pain, she could only take out her own money to buy drugs for Bai Hanmo. Ding Ningdi cried and begged Bai Hanmo to quit. Bai Hanmo saw how pitiful Ding Ningdi was and knew that he couldn't go on like this. But how could he quit so easily? Bai Hanmo didn't persist for long. In less than a week, he couldn't take it anymore. He was in so much pain that he begged Ding Ningdi to give it to him. Ding Ningdi was soft-hearted and could only give it to him. Relapse after quitting was an absolute blow to one's willpower. After relapse it was very difficult to quit. Bai Hanmo gave up on quitting. This kind of drug was the devil. For the sake of seeking excitement or curiosity, one would really be haunted by it like a demon. After Ding Ningdi returned to China, she had been very cautious in the Ding family. Ding Yan also didn't like Ding Ningdi. Soon, all of Ding Ningdi's money was spent. Ding Ningdi could only get money for Bai Hanmo because he was suffering. She stole money from the family or some expensive jewelry. All for Bai Hanmo, she threw money into a bottomless pit. Ding Yan found out that something was missing in the house. He accidentally found out that Ding Ningdi had taken something from the house, so he immediately flew into a rage. He directly drove Ding Ningdi out. No matter how Ding Ningdi begged, Ding Yan firmly refused. Ding Ningdi could only live with Bai Hanmo in a cramped house. Bai Hanmo spent a lot of money every day. If it was the Bai Hanmo of the past, this amount of money was not even worth mentioning. But for the two of them who were unemployed now, this amount of money was unbearable. After Ding Xueqing went back, she continued to do the perfume business. Ding Ningdi often looked for her to borrow money from Ding Xueqing just so that Bai Hanmo could have food. She didn't want Bai Hanmo's drug addiction to suffer. Ding Xueqing was speechless. Ding Xueqing had seen Bai Hanmo when his drug addiction acted up. He was so embarrassed and miserable. Chapter 1462. Bai Hanmo was so skinny that he looked like a panda. He had dark circles under his eyes, and his face was sallow and emaciated. That was simply shocking. Ding Xueqing definitely wouldn't lend money to Ding Ningdi. After the first time, there would be a second time, and then a third time, and then they would stick to her like leeches. Ding Ningdi found her celebrity mother, and Ji Lu found a new sugar daddy, but life wasn't good. Ji Lu saw that Ding Ningdi was her daughter, so she would give her a little each time she came, but Ding Ningdi asked more and more frequently. Ji Lu couldn't bear it anymore, so she had no choice but to refuse. Ding Ningdi cried pitifully, but Ji Lu wasn't moved. She told her to leave Bai Hanmo and find someone else. Staying with Bai Hanmo was a waste of her youth. Ding Ningdi was also very tired, but she loved Ding Ningdi. She couldn't bear to leave Bai Hanmo. Ji Lu just let Ding Ningdi be. After all, she needed to make some money to retire. Ding Ningdi could only find a job by herself, but Ding Ningdi didn't have any means to make a living. She could mess up everything she did. Renting a house required money, and eating also required money. Bai Hanmo's expenses were even higher. Ding Ningdi couldn't bear this kind of life. But she could only endure it like this. Moreover, her leg had been aching ever since she fell from upstairs. Especially on rainy days, it was even more uncomfortable. Ning Shu turned off the screen and lay on the sofa, planning to sleep. 3 chain missions. After the first mission, he immediately started the second one, without any time to rest. Ning Shu felt fucked. When he woke up, Ning Shu exchanged for fasting pills and water. He asked 2333, "Can the things I exchanged be used in all 3 worlds? How is that possible? Only one world." 2333 mercilessly shattered Ning Shu's fantasy. Ning Shu was speechless. He thought that since it was a chain mission, these things could be used. His heart was so tired. Ning Shu touched his chest and felt that his heart was beating very fast. His heart wasn't beating, so why was he so nervous? Ning Shu let out a long breath, hammered his heart, and said with a smile, "Let's go do the mission. Let's try to only do 3 missions to succeed. Then I wish you," 2333 said. "Let's start." Ning Shu closed his eyes, and his head was dizzy. Before she could open her eyes, Ning Shu heard playful voices in her ears. "Lick your shoes, lick your shoes. It's still better to eat shit, it's more fun." Ning Shu opened her eyes and saw a very familiar scene. It was a scene that Ning Shu didn't want to recall. That failed high-level mission, the difficulty of the trial mission was SSS level. It's Hanmo. The 3 princes Quan Haoxuan, Mu Yeyao, and Min Haochu were the bullies, and Yi Xiaotong was the victim of school violence. The client, Yi Xiaotong, wanted to live with dignity and hold an art exhibition for her brother. What a familiar scene. Ning Shu touched the branch in his pocket. At that time, she used the branch to perish together with Quan Haoxuan. Naturally, the mission failed. Many people gathered on the field. Quan Haoxuan, Mu Yeyao, and Min Haochu looked at Ning Shu with playful expressions. Quan Haoxuan was domineering and cold, Mu Yeyao was violent and cruel, and Min Haochu was charming and flirtatious. Yi Xiaodong was supported by people. His face was full of wounds, and the corner of his mouth was broken. When he saw Ning Shu, he helplessly called out for his sister. Yi Xiaodong's face was delicate, but there was a sense of confusion and cowardice between his eyebrows. When he didn't speak, he looked like a normal person, but when he opened his mouth, the shortcomings of his low IQ were exposed. He was wearing very old clothes with footprints all over them. It was obvious that he had been kicked. "You're late." Mu Yeyao moved his neck and raised his wrist to look at his watch. "You're almost a minute late." Mu Yeyao had a murderous aura all over his body. When he moved his neck, it made cracking sounds. Mu Yeyao's father was the general, the person who shot her to death. "As your punishment for being late." Mu Yeyao raised his foot and kicked Yi Xiaodong in the stomach. Yi Xiaodong immediately cried out in pain. His body curled up and he vomited everything in his stomach. The smell of Yi Xiaodong's vomit was very unpleasant. The people around covered their noses and retreated. The student who was holding Yi Xiaodong directly threw him to the ground. Yi Xiaodong fell to the ground and wailed in pain. He stared at Ning Shu pitifully and whimpered for his sister. Ning Shu took a deep breath. Why was this world still counterattacking? Was it virtual or real? Yi Xiaodong once again suffered such humiliation and pain. Mu Yao, are you deliberately disgusting people? Fu Haoxuan pinched his nose and said in dissatisfaction. He had an extremely disgusted expression on his face. Mu Yao shrugged his shoulders and said without sincerity, sorry, I'll be careful next time. Fu Haoxuan turned his head and moved his feet. Come here and wipe my shoes clean. Otherwise, your brother will be the unlucky one. You don't want to. Fu Haoxuan looked at Ning Shu indifferently. Beat this fool to death and then feed him a bucket of shit. After Fu Haoxuan finished speaking, a school staff member came over with a bucket of feces. The people around immediately hid far away. The smell of feces could be smelled from 10 miles away. Feed him. Fu Haoxuan waved his hand. As your punishment for hesitating, after your brother finishes eating, you can continue to eat. Since we're siblings, we should share weal and woe. I won't favor one and discriminate against the other. So disgusting, the people around made strange sounds. Their faces were filled with disgust and anticipation. Most of them kept their mouths shut to avoid getting into trouble. The staff member brought the feces bucket in front of Yi Xiaodong. The plot developed exactly the same. Now, she was asked to lick her shoes and eat feces. The feces bucket was placed in front of Yi Xiaodong. Although Yi Xiaodong was stupid, she knew that it was dirty. She cried until tears and snot were all over her face. Fu Haoxuan put his hands in his pockets and looked at Ning Shu with a devilish expression. Seeing your brother being fed feces, as his sister, you actually watched so indifferently. Since we're siblings, we should share weal and woe together. Bring another bucket, Fu Haoxuan said while covering his nose. Pour it down, Fu Haoxuan said coldly. Ning Shu immediately said, wait a minute. Not to mention that the feces was filled with bacteria, this insult was unbearable. Yi Xiaodong's brain wasn't very good. It was natural, but it didn't mean that she should endure such an insult. That was why Ning Shu had chosen to perish together. A warrior would rather be killed than humiliated. Fu Haoxuan sneered and raised his foot. Have you thought it through? Lick my shoes. Then lick it. Ning Shu thought, how dare you? Chapter 1463. Ning Shu clenched her fists. Naturally, she couldn't be as impulsive as before. Fei Haoxuan, Mu Yao, and Min Haochu all had powerful backgrounds. If they perished together like before, the mission would still be considered a failure. This was related to whether she could enter the space of laws. Why was it still this mission? A girl with no power, no parents, and a stupid brother wanted to win the crown prince of the corporation, Fei Haoxuan, Mu Yao, who came from a military and political family, and Min Haochu, who came from a family of food tycoons. They could pinch her to death with a finger. No, they could kill her with a word. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and lick my shoes. Otherwise, you want a bucket of feces. Fei Haoxuan raised his chin and looked at Ning Shu. Ning Shu walked over to Fei Haoxuan with a mocking smile on his face. This was an era without mercy. Yi Xiaodong sniffled. His hair was grabbed and his head was forced back. He called his sister childishly. Seeing Yi Xiaodong again, Ning Shu's heart was complicated. She was so sad that she wanted to cry. Ning Shu looked at Fei Haoxuan and quickly reached out to grab his collar. Fuck your 18 generations of ancestors. Fei Haoxuan was stunned. The people around him were stunned. You. Fei Haoxuan was furious. But before he could finish, he was thrown out by Ning Shu. Ning Shu used too much strength and his muscles were in pain. Fei Haoxuan's body crashed into Min Haochu and Mu Yao. Mu Yao was born in a military family. His martial arts weren't weak. He caught Fei Haoxuan and didn't let Fei Haoxuan lose face in front of everyone. Ning Shu pulled Yi Xiaodong and ran. Stop her for me. Ouyang Haoshuan gritted his teeth and shouted. The onlookers all tried to stop Ning Shu. Ning Shu clenched her fists. Whoever dared to block her would get a punch. After experiencing so many worlds, she still had the strength to deal with these young masters and young ladies. Ning Shu grabbed Yi Xiaodong's hand and broke out of the students' encirclement. In the end, they were stopped by Mu Yeyao. Ning Shu shielded Yi Xiaodong, who was a head taller than him, behind him and looked at Mu Yeyao warily. Mu Yeyao moved his neck, making cracking sounds. He stared straight at Ning Shu. I didn't expect you to have such skills. What, you dare to resist now? Beat him to death. The Haoshuan gritted his teeth. He was thrown out by a woman who looked like trash. How was he going to survive in this school? Interesting, interesting. Min Haochu clapped his hands. His action of clapping was very flirtatious. Min Haochu, you still dare to gloat? Fan Haoshuan said with an ashen face. Min Haochu said with a smile, don't be angry. If the pet is disobedient, you can just train it again. Don't you think it's more interesting now? It even dares to resist. What's the point of having a submissive pet? Min Haochu narrowed his peach blossom eyes, his gaze scraping across Ning Shu's face inch by inch. Mu Yeyao. Ning Shu smiled, you have some skills. Come and spar with me. Mu Yeyao's martial arts were grappling hands. He aimed at a person's vital points, head, neck, and stomach. He would either break the person's arms and legs or something. Mu Yeyao's level of brutality was even more than the other two. Mu Yeyao had killed someone. Ning Shu and Mu Yeyao confronted each other. There was little spiritual energy in this world, so Ning Shu could only absorb the power of the fire sun. In public, Ning Shu didn't dare to cultivate wantonly. Sister. Yi Xiaodong tugged at Ning Shu's clothes, looking terrified and confused. He clearly didn't know why these people were treating him like this. Ning Shu turned back and comforted him, brother, don't be afraid. Ning Shu moved his wrist, okay, don't blame me if you cry. Ning Shu pulled Yi Xiaodong's hand and rushed towards Mu Yeyao. Mu Yeyao sneered, his eyes filled with cruelty. He clenched his fists and was ready to attack. Ning Shu let go of Yi Xiaodong's hand and put his hand on Yi Xiaodong's arm. He jumped into the air and kicked Mu Yeyao. Mu Yeyao blocked Ning Shu's leg with his arm, but he was still kicked to the ground. His arm was numb from the shock. Mu Yeyao's face was ugly. He was very confident in his skills. But he didn't expect to be broken by a trash girl. Ning Shu didn't bother and ran away with Yi Xiaodong. Running out of the school, Ning Shu went straight home. The client, Yi Xiaodong, and her brother lived in the slums, and it was the slum next to the garbage dump. The house was shabby and the roof was missing tiles. It was hard to imagine that there was such a place in this rich city. There were rich and poor. Ning Shu pulled Yi Xiaodong into the house. The house was a bit messy and there was a lot of trash. These were all trash that could be sold for money. Both Yi Xiaodong and Yi Xiaodong slept on the same bed. The brother and sister's situation was worse than Ning Shu thought. Wah, sister. Yi Xiaodong sat on the ground and cried, tears and snot flowing. Ning Shu squatted down and patted Yi Xiaodong's back, don't be afraid, sister will protect Xiaodong. Sister also wants to hold a big art exhibition for Xiaodong. Ning Shu found a waste paper and wiped the tears and snot on Yi Xiaodong's face. Really? Yi Xiaodong looked at Ning Shu. Ning Shu nodded, it's true. So, with sister by your side, there's no need to be afraid. Ning Shu prepared to make some food. There was an open-air kitchen outside the house. It was a stove made of bricks with a pot on top. Ning Shu found some rice and some vegetable leaves that were about to rot in the house. She cooked the vegetable leaves with the rice and added some sesame oil and salt. The taste was not bad. Ning Shu cooked some for Yi Xiaodong and ate some for herself. Yi Xiaodong's intelligence was only 5 or 6 years old, and his way of thinking was also like that of a child. He had no outlook on life or worldview. But was school violence enough to leave a shadow in Yi Xiaodong's heart? It would affect and hurt his psyche. It was good to leave that aristocratic academy. That was not a place where Yi Xiaotong and Yi Xiaodong should stay. They were on different levels. Besides, with her previous actions of beating up Haoshuan, it would be strange if Min Haochu and Mu Yeyao let her go. Yi Xiaodong was frightened and had a high fever at night. Ning Shu sat by the side and cultivated. When she heard Yi Xiaodong groaning in pain, she touched Yi Xiaodong's face. It was boiling hot. After that, he was so hot that he was talking nonsense. He kept calling sister, sister. Ning Shu quickly took out the medicine she had exchanged earlier. Fortunately, she had prepared the medicine in advance. She crushed the medicine and mixed it with water for Yi Xiaodong to drink. After that, Ning Shu found a piece of ginger and rubbed it on Yi Xiaodong's acupoints. Yi Xiaodong was scared out of his wits. Ning Shu coaxed him. Although Yi Xiaodong was taller than her, he was still a child. Chapter 1464. Ning Shu channeled a small amount of aura into Yi Xiaodong. It was a gentle aura, not the violent aura of yang fire. Aura could nourish the body. This was the aura she had obtained after cultivating for most of the night. It was almost dawn when Yi Xiaodong's fever finally subsided. Ning Shu moved his stiff neck. Seeing that Yi Xiaodong was sleeping soundly, he asked 2333 in his mind, why is the world still attacking? It's just like what you see. You failed before, so you have to do it again. 2333 said. Is this real or virtual? Ning Shu asked. Why was the world still attacking after so long? Was there no one who succeeded? Maybe it's a long time for you, but it's not long for this plane. No one has received this mission yet, so you have to do it yourself. 2333 explained. Ning Shu heaved a long sigh of relief. So it was real. With the doubts in his mind solved, Ning Shu sat cross-legged and began to cultivate. The surrounding smells were easy to ask about. The room was full of cans, mineral water bottles, and some iron and copper metals. They were all collected by the people who entrusted him to sell them for money. Ning Shu planned to take these out and sell them tomorrow. They took up space in the house and made the house a mess. The room was not big to begin with, and now there were these things in the house. It made people uncomfortable just looking at them. It was important to live in a clean room. It was not very big or luxurious, but there was not even a place to walk. It was too depressing. At dawn, Ning Shu cooked porridge for Yi Xiaodong. Yi Xiaodong had a fever all night and was sweating a lot. There was a smell of sweat on his body. Yi Xiaodong held the bowl and ate by himself. Ning Shu used a handkerchief to wipe the sweat off his body. What a child! He would do these things by himself in the future. Although he was young, he could be taught slowly. They were twins. The younger brother was born retarded. The father was a driver for the principal of a noble school. In the end, he died in a car accident. The mother could not bear the burden of 2 children, and there was also a fool. The burden was too heavy, so she left. There had been no news from him for a long time, so he entrusted Yi Xiaotong to pick up garbage to support himself and his younger brother. You stay at home. Sister will sell these things, Ning Shu said to Yi Xiaodong. Yi Xiaodong nodded obediently and lay down after eating. Ning Shu stuffed all the bottles and cans in the house into the snakeskin bag and carried them to the recycling station to sell them. It didn't sell for much, but it could support her and Yi Xiaodong for a while. Ning Shu went to the supermarket to buy some discounted meat and vegetables. After buying more rice, half of his money was gone. Even her life was so tight, yet she still wanted to hold an art exhibition for Yi Xiaodong. This was a rather difficult task. Ning Shu carried some daily necessities home and saw two men in suits standing in front of the small house. Yi Xiaodong came out wearing very thin clothes and listened to the two with a blank face. Ning Shu hurried over, put down the things and shouted to the leading man, "Principal, why are you here?" Principal Li was a man in his 60s. Yi Xiaotong and her younger brother were able to study in an aristocratic school because of him. Her father had saved Principal Li, so he didn't die in the car accident. That was why Principal Li allowed the siblings to study in an aristocratic school. Perhaps Principal Li wanted to repay them, but entering an aristocratic school made life harder for the siblings. They were not on the same level. "Why didn't you go to school?" Principal Li asked Ning Shu. Ning Shu asked Yi Xiaodong to go back to the house. Yi Xiaodong carried all the things at Ning Shu's feet into the house. "Why didn't you go to school?" Principal Li asked Ning Shu helplessly. Ning Shu did not believe that a principal of an aristocratic school would come to a dirty place just to ask her if she wanted to go to school. Ning Shu did not want to go to school anyway. Even if she went, she would be played by those three people. Ning Shu said, "I don't want to go to school. It's not suitable for me." "No, you have to go to school," Principal Li said agitatedly. Ning Shu was speechless. He even had such a tone. "I don't want to go to school." Ning Shu shook her head. She was tortured by those three crazy people every day. Their methods were cruel and shocking. They did not play you to death, but like a cat playing with a mouse, they played with you wantonly. They destroyed your dignity and attacked your will. And that was a place where the strong preyed on the weak. Yi Xiaotong and her younger brother were like powerless snails that entered a dinosaur world. "Why do I have to go to school?" Ning Shu asked. "Forcing people to go to school, interesting." Principal Li said, "It's not easy to enter an aristocratic school. You should seize this opportunity to build your own network in this school. You don't want to pick up trash for the rest of your life, right?" "I can't build my network. They don't even care about me." Ning Shu spread her hands and said straightforwardly. Networking was the intersection of people of the same status. It was good enough that she was not bullied, but she still wanted to build a Liren network. It was also very, very funny. To exaggerate a little, in the hearts of those young masters and young ladies, she was probably stinky dog shit. She would not have a good ending if she went to them. Ning Shu was a little suspicious. Why did Principal Li insist on her going to school? "You have to go," Principal Li said firmly. Facing Ning Shu's doubtful gaze, he said, "You fought with those three last time. They said that you have to go back." Ning Shu was speechless. They just had to force her to be bullied by them. You can't win against them. You have to endure everything. Even if they bully you, you have to endure it. When they feel bored, they won't find trouble with you, Principal Li said rather helplessly. Although she was the principal, her position was very awkward. Many students did not take her seriously. The aristocratic school was a joint venture school. Although she was the principal, she was really just a principal. She did not have much decision-making power. Ning Shu thought, damn, it turned out that those three people were unwilling to let it go. They made them lose face yesterday, so they wanted to get back at them. They would not lower themselves to come to such a place, so they could only pressure the principal to let her go to school and bully her openly. I'm not going. Ning Shu refused. How despicable would it be to send herself to be bullied? If you don't go, I can't be the principal anymore. Also, do you really think that you'll be fine if you don't go to school? Principal Li said somewhat anxiously. Feng Haoshuan had given him a death order. He had to let Ning Shu go back, or else he could not be the principal anymore. That was why Principal Li had personally come to such a place to invite Ning Shu back to class. Mu Yao has an army at home. Min Haochu and Fang Haoshuan also have many bodyguards at home. Do you think you can hide here? If the rich want to torture you, they will make you desperate. You won't go wrong if you listen to me, Principal Li said. Chapter 1465. Besides, your brother's painting talent cannot be delayed. As long as he goes to school, I will pay for all his painting expenses, Headmaster Li promised. Ning Shu was speechless. The more Headmaster Li was like this, the more Ning Shu did not want to go back to school. She could not learn anything there. These young masters and young mistresses learned etiquette, interpersonal relationships, horsemanship, tea ceremony, and other elegant things. She could not even survive now. She did not have enough to eat or warm clothes. It was raining outside and drizzling inside. These things were of no use to her. Headmaster Li's intention was to push her in front of these three people to protect his position. This was a very normal thing. Ning Shu rejected again. I'm not going. You have to think carefully. It is difficult for a poor family to produce a good son. Now that there is such a good opportunity, you don't want to study. Headmaster Li said with some disappointment. Sister. Yi Xiaodong stood by the door with a timid expression. Ning Shu said, Sister, I want to learn to paint. I want to paint. Even if you don't think for yourself, you have to think for your brother. I hope I can see you go to school tomorrow. Headmaster Li could not stay here any longer and urged Ning Shu to go to school. After Headmaster Li left, Ning Shu began to cook. She cooked the meat and vegetables she bought, and then she and Yi Xiaodong sat on the low stool, bending over to eat. Ning Shu ate less because she ate a fasting pill. She also put one in Yi Xiaodong's bowl. You want to go to school to learn to paint? Ning Shu asked Yi Xiaodong. Yi Xiaodong nodded. His actions were childish. He was already 16 or 17 years old, but he was too childish. I want to go. Yi Xiaodong said. Ning Shu put down the bowl and took out a brush and paper from the bag. This is for you. You have talent. You can paint whatever you want. Sister will give you the paper. Ning Shu said. We don't have to go to school. Ning Shu said to Yi Xiaodong. Yi Xiaodong nodded. Okay, I will listen to you. Yi Xiaodong hugged the drawing paper and brushed tightly. Yi Xiaodong wanted to go to school to draw because the school had a lot of drawing paper and brushes. These things were nothing in the eyes of others, but to Yi Xiaodong, who couldn't afford them, they were very precious. Ning Shu was determined not to go to school, and he would not let Yi Xiaodong face the strange gazes of the people in the school. Yi Xiaodong was a fool, but that didn't mean he didn't have feelings. Furthermore, he would definitely be bullied if he went back. What was the point of going back? After eating, Yi Xiaodong began to draw with a pen and paper, focusing on his drawing. Ning Shu leaned over to take a look. Yi Xiaodong's drawing was a little abstract. At first glance, Ning Shu had no idea what he was drawing. It seemed that art was just like that. Ordinary people couldn't understand it at all. Ning Shu. Yi Xiaodong said, You stay at home. I'm going out. Forcing her to go back to school, there might be some perverted tricks waiting for her. She might as well let them get into a mess first so that the three of them wouldn't have the time to care about her. When he made his move, he thought of what would happen next. They would definitely take revenge on him. He had to train this disobedient pet. No, she couldn't even be considered a pet. Ning Shu locked the door, afraid that Yi Xiaodong would run around and get lost. Ning Shu found an illegal internet cafe, which was filled with smoke. Ning Shu found a corner and began to post on the internet. The title was, Min Group's food and cooking oil are all corpse oil. It was much cheaper than vegetable oil and lard when frying the meat from the corpses of the funeral parlors. Let Min Haochu's family clarify this kind of groundless thing. Ning Shu registered an account and posted the post, but the IP address was fake. After that, Ning Shu hacked into the official website of the group, hacked the website, and wrote a few words: "Shameless profiteers, heartless. Doesn't your conscience hurt?" After that, Ning Shu found that his post had been deleted, but Ning Shu didn't care. He posted it on the large communication forum. He used a virtual IP address and wiped his tail clean, in case the other party found out. It was very likely that he would be discovered. A rumor like corpse oil was enough to give Min Haochu a headache. He didn't have time to find trouble with her. After finishing these things, Ning Shu paid a few yuan for the internet fee and left the internet cafe. The client didn't have a cell phone or a computer at home. It was too slow to receive information. He couldn't go to the internet cafe every day to read the news. Ning Shu walked on the street and saw a plastic bottle on the ground. Without thinking, he squatted down and picked it up. This bottle could be sold for a few cents. Ning Shu wanted to move, but the conditions didn't allow it. Where would they live if they moved? Ning Shu thought about his livelihood. Be a doctor, he was too young and had no credentials. Make ointment illegally? Who would buy her ointment? Be a lawyer and had no credentials. Be a feng shui master. Feng shui masters nowadays were liars, especially with her yellow face and muscles. She didn't look like a feng shui master at all. After thinking about it, Ning Shu realized that he could only fucking pick up trash. Ning Shu walked on the road and looked around. When he saw trash that could be sold for money, he would pick it up immediately. Also, Ning Shu wanted to find a place to live. It wasn't safe to live there. There was definitely no need for him to go to an elite school. Even if he wanted to go to school, he would go to another school. Ning Shu returned home and said to Yi Xiaodong, "Xiaodong, let's move. We won't live here anymore." Yi Xiaodong's expression was blank with a hint of fear as she asked, "Where are we moving to then?" Clearly, Xiaodong was afraid of changes and felt insecure. "I found a new place," Ning Shu said with a smile. "There's a river in front of our house. You can draw a lot of pictures there." Yi Xiaodong didn't have her own opinions. Naturally, she would listen to whatever Ning Shu said. Ning Shu started to prepare for moving. She had found a good bridge. It wasn't bad to live under the bridge. Furthermore, there was a broken car under the bridge. It was the kind that was very, very broken. The tires had burst and the body was covered in rust and mud. Originally, under the highway bridge, this car could be sheltered from the rain and could be used to live in. Ning Shu decided that in the future, if he wanted to exchange the world's money, it would be difficult to do so without money. There was nothing to take from this house. Ning Shu stuffed the 2 blankets into his pocket. Yi Xiaodong hugged the drawing paper and walked towards the bridge. Ning Shu tidied up the broken car. It could also sleep. As for the kitchen, it was open air. In any case, she wouldn't go back to that school even if she was beaten to death. As for the principal, she couldn't even take care of herself, let alone help the principal consolidate his position. It was fine if she was alone, but with Yi Xiaodong around, she had to ensure Yi Xiaodong's safety. Chapter 1466. Wonderful novel to read at any time, mobile users please visit. She also had to organize an art exhibition for Yi Xiaodong in the future. Oh, just thinking about it made her feel like burning money. And Yi Xiaodong's drawing paper and brushes. She had to find a job that could support herself and Yi Xiaodong. At night, Ning Shu and Yi Xiaodong slept in the car. Ning Shu cultivated while Yi Xiaodong slept. The next day, Ning Shu went out to pick up trash. No, she went to the internet cafe to see how things were going. Ning Shu gave a few yuan, turned on her computer, and searched for news about the Min Corporation in corpse oil. Ning Shu's post was deleted. The official website that Ning Shu had hacked also returned to normal. The company's official website released a statement saying that someone had deliberately spread rumors to discredit the company. They would pursue the legal responsibility of the person who spread the rumors. They released a statement on the most popular Weibo platform. Ning Shu wasn't angry that the post was deleted. She forced the company to release a statement and even did a food inspection. It was already a great success. Ning Shu glanced at the stock market. The Min Corporation's stock price fell again and again. Food safety was a matter of the people's livelihood. They actually used corpse oil. Even if the Min family went to an authoritative agency to inspect their food, even if the food was qualified and the certificate was placed in front of the public wouldn't believe it. Sometimes, people believed in what they thought, and 3 people would make a tiger out of it. Now, Min Haochu couldn't find trouble with her. With such a big thing happening in her family, Min Haochu probably wouldn't have the time to train his pet. At least for now, she could breathe a sigh of relief. Ning Shu's goal now was to earn money. She could only organize an art exhibition for Yi Xiaodong if she had money. Ning Shu thought about it and decided to forget about embroidery. Nowadays, all jobs required a certificate. The client wasn't even 18 years old. They weren't even adults. Then she would do embroidery. But who would she sell embroidery to? The client had no resources in her hands. She would have nothing except her life. She had no money, no house, no parents, no family, no friends. Her muddle-headed younger brother was the only one she depended on. After cultivating for a whole night, Ning Shu transferred the spirit qi in his body to Yi Xiaodong. Her body was filled with the power of the blazing sun, and the power of the blazing sun would only damage her body. Just like when she injected the fiery sun energy into Ding Ningdi's body, the fiery sun energy would destroy the body. She had to endure the pain. Although it wasn't very painful, it was still bearable, but day after day, year after year. The spiritual energy was gentle and could nourish the body. Yi Xiaodong was born with retarded mental development, and there was no medicine that could treat this illness. Ning Shu prepared breakfast for Yi Xiaodong and then went out. As long as Yi Xiaodong could draw, he wouldn't make any noise. Ning Shu opened the car door and instructed Yi Xiaodong through the window, "Xiaodong, don't run around. Be good and wait for your sister to come back. Don't open the door for anyone. Sister will be back soon," Ning Shu said. Ning Shu sold the trash he picked up and went to the internet cafe. It was so hard to be poor. He had to go to the internet cafe to find out all the news. Ning Shu was concerned about the Min family's matter and how Min Haohao's company dealt with it. Min Haochu was the kind of person who was evil. He was the think tank among the 3 of them. Oh Haoshuan was the executor, and Mu Yao was helping behind the scenes. They thought of all kinds of ways to torture people. He didn't believe that Min Haochu would still think of ways to torture people after such a thing happened to his family. Ning Shu clicked on the mouse and browsed the news about the Min Family Corporation. There was also a press conference held by the Min Family Corporation. They even said that it was because of malicious competition in the same industry that they came up with such a despicable trick. They said that the Min family's food had been strictly tested and that corpse oil was nonsense. Although the Min Family Corporation tried their best to clarify, held a press conference, and went to the country's proper institutions to test, the scandal was still fermenting on the internet. Many VIPs and hipsters actually bought the Min family's instant noodles and said that they wanted to taste the corpse oil. They even live-streamed eating instant noodles. It deepened the impression that the Min family's food had corpse oil. The stock price fell again and again, making Min Haochu's father's hair turn white from worry. Did you offend someone? It's obvious that someone is messing with our family. Min Haochu's father thought about it and felt that Min Haochu had offended someone in school. The people who studied in aristocratic schools gathered almost all the resources of the entire country and society. If Min Haochu had offended someone in school, it was possible that someone was messing with the Min family. Min Haochu was at a loss. He hadn't done anything. Everyone in school was polite and courteous. Min Haochu knew very well that there was always someone better than him. If he wanted to bully someone, he would bully someone without a background. Min Haochu suddenly thought of a pair of siblings and then shook his head. Such a rat-like person was only worthy of being fooled. When he saw them, he was like a mouse that saw a cat. He trembled. How could he do such a daring thing? What's wrong? Did you think of something? Min Haochu's father saw his son's expression. Did you offend someone? No, I didn't offend anyone, Min Haochu shook his head and said. We have to find this person who is playing tricks behind the scenes. Min Haochu thought for a while and suddenly thought of someone. Dad, I thought of someone. Who? Min Haochu's father asked. Min Haochu said indifferently, just an insignificant person. Min Haochu told his father about Ning Shu's situation. Of course, he also told him about how the three of them bullied Ning Shu. So, I suspect that this girl wants to take revenge on us. We can catch this girl and let her tell the truth at the press conference. I have said before. No matter how small the nail is, it will still hurt when it pierces your foot. We are not afraid of it. But if there is a villain playing tricks behind the scenes, it is obvious that there is a villain playing tricks behind the scenes, Min Haochu's father said and rubbed his eyebrows. Even if this girl didn't do it, the best way to solve it is in front of us, Min Haochu's father said. But to be honest, if the matter of you bullying the weak in school is exposed, it will also have a bad influence and implicate the O family and the Mu family. Especially the Mu family, they are involved in politics. If there is a problem, it is very likely that it will be a political stain. So, we have to change the way we speak. Min Haochu's father said. Yi Xiaodong has a silly younger brother. She cares about this younger brother a lot, Min Haochu said. This matter can't be wrong again. This is a risky move. Min Haochu's father thought for a while and felt that it was inappropriate. Forget it. This matter will implicate the O family and the Mu family. But what about our family? Min Haochu said anxiously, our family can't collapse because of this matter. I heard from the company's director that the distributors no longer come to the company to get the goods. The stock price has also fallen. Min Haochu was very anxious. Mobile users, please visit this wonderful novel at any time. This chapter is 1466, and the address is. If you think this chapter is good, please don't forget to recommend it to your QQ group and Weibo friends. Chapter 1467. Wonderful novel to read at any time, mobile users please visit. This was an extremely realistic world. If anything happened to a famous author, he would fall from heaven to hell. He was so popular in school. So many girls surrounded him, yearning for his pity. He was called Prince by the girls because of his family. Without these things, he was just a penniless boy. Other people's attitude towards him was different. Min Haochu didn't know if others would lend a helping hand. To be fair, he wouldn't waste his effort on worthless things. It was hard to say if they would lend a helping hand. No matter what, he had to protect the company first. He couldn't let the stock price keep falling. Ning Shu left the internet cafe and looked for embroidery on the internet. There were people who specialized in embroidery. She would embroider a finished product first and show it to others. Ning Shu used her lifetime's embroidery skills and planned to embroider two sides of embroidery. It was indeed better to learn something. Ning Shu bought a piece of satin and thread. She bought thread that was slightly better and wouldn't fade. There were all kinds of colors. Ning Shu carried the things back to the bridge and found a few men in suits surrounding the RV. Ning Shu hurriedly ran over. Min Haochu turned around and said, "We meet again." Ning Shu's eyebrows twitched. How did Min Haochu find this place? After such a thing happened at home, he still had the time to care about her pet. Surprised to see me? Min Haochu looked at Ning Shu with his amorous eyes. What did you do to my brother? Ning Shu asked with a trembling voice. When Min Haochu saw Ning Shu shivering like a mouse in front of a cat, his frown eased. I want you to do something. If you do it well, I will let you and your brother go, Min Haochu said condescendingly. Where's my brother? Ning Shu asked. Sister, I'm in the car. There's a lot of food inside. Yi Xiaodong stuck his head out of the car window. He had a bag of snacks in his hand. Ning Shu thought he was really a child. He didn't learn from his mistakes. But seeing that Yi Xiaodong was safe, Ning Shu breathed a sigh of relief. Min Haochu walked over to Ning Shu and said, Do you think I won't be able to see you again after you move? Ning Shu didn't think that he could escape, provided that these people let him go. If these people didn't let him go, he wouldn't be able to escape even if he ran to the ends of the earth. Ning Shu looked down at his shoes and whispered, What can I do to help? It must be a good thing. After this matter is successful, you will have a lot of money. You and your brother will not have to worry about food and clothing for the rest of your life. Min Haochu said. Ning Shu raised her head in surprise, but she still had a cowardly look on her face. What is it? Ning Shu asked carefully. In front of the press conference, just say that the rumors on the internet were spread by you. Ning Shu's expression became even more confused. He asked with a confused look, What rumor? I don't know. Min Haochu wasn't surprised by Ning Shu's reaction. After all, he didn't have a cell phone or the internet. How could he know these things? Min Haochu took out his cell phone and handed it to Ning Shu. See for yourself. Ning Shu waved his hand. I don't know how to use it. Min Haochu was a little impatient. He had to talk nonsense with such a woman who was like a trash picker. But when he thought that his family needed such a person to protect them from disaster, he couldn't help but think about it. Min Haochu could only be patient and tell Ning Shu what had happened. Ning Shu stared at Min Haochu with wide eyes. This is a crime. If I admit it, I will go to jail. Min Haochu was a little surprised. He didn't expect this woman to know that it was a crime. Ning Shu shook his head. I can't do it. If something happens to me, what will happen to my brother? Ning Shu felt like a dog. If she admitted to spreading rumors, she wouldn't have a good ending after the press conference. She would still get money. Go lie to others. She would just say that school violence was a joke. Then, she would hold a grudge and do such a thing. This was a notorious thing. She would be scolded by others. If she really did such a thing, Yi Xiaodong would have to bear such a stigma because of his weak position. Min Haochu only cared about her family. He wouldn't care about her life or death. After the press conference, she might go to jail. What would happen to Yi Xiaodong? Yi Xiaodong would come back and find herself in jail. Her life would be ruined. Her counterattack mission had also failed. She would have to do missions continuously. It's not up to you to agree to this. If you do it, it will be good for you. If you don't do it, you have to think about the consequences for you and your brother, Min Haochu said threateningly. Ning Shu, so scared, don't hurt my brother. Let me think about it, Ning Shu lowered his head and said softly. Think about it carefully. Don't think about running away. You won't be able to. I'll give you a day to think about it. Don't think about running away, sweetheart. Min Haochu looked at Ning Shu with a smile. If you run away, you won't have a good ending. If I find out that you run away, your brother won't have a good ending. Min Haochu asked the bodyguards to pull Yi Xiaodong away. Ning Shu said hurriedly, I won't run. Don't catch my brother. Really? Min Haochu pointed at Ning Shu. You better think about it carefully. Ning Shu waved his hands and looked weak. I won't run. I definitely won't run. You don't have to worry. Min Haochu sent someone to guard this place before he slowly walked away. Ning Shu hurriedly entered the car and saw Yi Xiaodong eating happily. When he saw Ning Shu, he quickly stuffed the food into Ning Shu's hands. Sister, eat quickly. That person isn't a good person. He bullied you in the past, but you still eat his food. Ning Shu said angrily. These things are delicious. It's because they bullied us that we have to eat all his food. Yi Xiaodong said straightforwardly. Ning Shu was speechless. This logic didn't seem to be wrong. Ning Shu took a bag of bread and ate it while looking at the person guarding outside. Looking at the innocent and naive Yi Xiaodong, Ning Shu's heart was filled with worry. Ning Shu took out all his savings and pulled Yi Xiaodong out of the car. Where are you going? The bodyguard in black stopped Ning Shu. My brother wants to poop. Ning Shu said. Yi Xiaodong's mouth was stuffed with food. He would do whatever his sister said. The bodyguard looked at the childish Yi Xiaodong with disdain. He was eating and pooping at the same time. Ning Shu pulled Yi Xiaodong to a remote place to poop. The two bodyguards followed Ning Shu. You can poop here. Sister has something to do. Take a longer time. Ning Shu said while bending over. Yi Xiaodong swallowed the food in his mouth. But I don't want to poop. Then just squat here. If they find you, just tell them that I went to the ladies' room nearby. The ladies' room. Ning Shu patted Yi Xiaodong's shoulder. Sister will be back soon. Mobile users, please visit this wonderful novel at any time. This chapter is 1467, and the address is. If you think this chapter is good, please don't forget to recommend it to your friends in the QQ group and Weibo. Chapter 1468. Wonderful novel to read at any time, mobile users please visit. Ning Shu slipped away, out of the bodyguard's sight, and went to the mobile phone store to buy a mobile phone. Then she rushed back as fast as she could. The two bodyguards were holding Yi Xiaodong, who was so scared that he started crying. What are you doing? Let go of my brother. Ning Shu's two bodyguards rushed over and grabbed his brother. The two bodyguards looked at Ning Shu. Where did you go? Why didn't you come back for so long? I went to the ladies' room. My ladies' room is a bit far from here. Ning Shu protected Yi Xiaodong behind her. Don't play any tricks, or my young master won't let you go. The bodyguard threatened Ning Shu. Ning Shu agreed and went back to the car. Ning Shu took out her mobile phone and downloaded a live streaming app. Since Min Haochu wanted her to help, she would do it. After registering the live streaming app, Ning Shu uploaded her profile picture, ready to start her live streaming career. As a person who ate all kinds of food, Ning Shu didn't forget to remind the audience to send her gifts. Ha, of course, Ning Shu didn't have an audience. In the evening, Ning Shu was ready to run away with Yi Xiaodong. Ning Shu didn't want Yi Xiaodong to get involved, and she didn't want him to show his face in public. Ning Shu packed up Yi Xiaodong's things, drawing paper, snacks, and so on. Then she woke up the sleepy Yi Xiaodong. Don't talk, follow me. Ning Shu carried the things with one hand and held Yi Xiaodong's hand with the other. The two bodyguards fell asleep in the black luxury car, but Ning Shu and Yi Xiaodong were called as soon as they got out of the car. What are you doing? Ning Shu pulled Yi Xiaodong and ran. One of the bodyguards, Ning Shu and his sister, chased after them, and the other bodyguard drove. Ning Shu ran towards a secluded path with stairs, making it impossible for the bodyguard to drive. Yi Xiaodong ran out of breath. Ning Shu used his qi to carry Yi Xiaodong and ran quickly. Soon, they got rid of the bodyguards. Ning Shu arrived at the nursery. It was already late at night, and the nursery was already closed. Ning Shu knocked on the door. Someone opened the door for Ning Shu. I called you during the day. This is my brother. I'm going to leave him here for a while. All right. A middle-aged woman said kindly. Ning Shu gave the last of his savings to the middle-aged woman. Ning Shu held on to the money and refused to let go. The middle-aged woman tried several times but failed to get the money out of Ning Shu's hand. She stared at Ning Shu in surprise. Ning Shu's heart ached. In the end, he let go and watched as the middle-aged woman put the money away. Remember to buy him drawing paper. As long as you give him drawing paper, he'll be very quiet. Ning Shu gave the package to the middle-aged woman. There's drawing paper inside. If you use it up, buy him more. Sister. Yi Xiaodong looked at Ning Shu with tears in his eyes. Sister, are you going to be like mom? Ning Shu immediately understood Yi Xiaodong's words and comforted him. Sister won't. Don't worry. Sister still has to organize an art exhibition for you. Now that I have something to do, it's not convenient for me to take you with me. Ning Shu hugged Yi Xiaodong. Ning Shu stayed with Yi Xiaodong until dawn. He took the receipt from the nursery and left. Yi Xiaodong looked at Ning Shu with misty eyes. He looked so pitiful. Ning Shu hardened his heart and left. Ning Shu returned to the RV and saw Min Haochu throwing a tantrum at the bodyguard. He turned around and saw Ning Shu. Min Haochu's face was ferocious. When he saw Ning Shu, he said, "Where did you go?" "I said that if you dare to escape, you." Min Haochu looked left and right. "Where's your brother?" Ning Shu reached into his pocket and took out his phone's camera. "Min Haochu, I don't agree with what you said. I won't do it. This is a crime. I didn't do it. I won't admit to it," Ning Shu said. Min Haochu took a deep breath. "Do you think that if you take your brother away, we won't be able to find him?" "Looks like you've forgotten all the tricks in school," Min Haochu said calmly. "I'm not asking for your permission. I'm ordering you. No matter where you hide your brother, we'll be able to find him," Min Haochu said. Ning Shu looked very aggrieved. "Why do you have to ask me?" "Do whatever I tell you to do," Min Haochu said coldly. That was because Ning Shu had the motive to commit the crime. It was because he was holding a grudge and prank that he did such a thing. "There's no need to look for my brother. I'll do whatever you tell me to do. Can you really guarantee my safety after this?" Ning Shu asked carefully. "You really won't send me to prison, right? Also, I didn't start any rumors at all. I didn't post those posts on the internet," Ning Shu said in a panic. Min Haochu was very impatient when he saw Ning Shu's timid and weak appearance. If it wasn't for the company, Min Haochu really couldn't be bothered to say a word to her. "After this, I'll give you a large sum of money. You can take your brother and go far away. After you solve the problem for my family, I'll definitely guarantee that you'll be fine," Min Haochu said patiently. Ning Shu, that if Ning Shu believed Min Haochu's words, then she was a pig. "Then tell me, what should I do?" Ning Shu asked timidly. "What you need to do is to admit that you're the one who spread the rumors at the press conference," Min Haochu said. "You just need to read according to the script we gave you." Ning Shu shook her head and said, "I won't do it. You bullied me at school, pressed me into the water and watched me struggle. You even locked me up with the Tibetan Mastiff and fed me feces. Now you want me to do this. I don't want to do it." Ning Shu stepped back. "I don't believe you. You're all demons." Min Haochu was very impatient. He waved at the bodyguards and said, "Catch her and then go find her brother." "Wait a minute." Ning Shu reached out her hand. Min Haochu was even more impatient. "Yi Xiaotong, I'm giving you a lesson. Do you really think that you're the only one who can do this? This matter only needed some money to find a scapegoat, but this woman's words were more persuasive. After all, she had always been bullied and studied in an elite school. Under the stimulation of the gap between the rich and the poor, her heart was twisted. That was why she did such a thing. It was reasonable. As for the money, of course, it had to be investigated according to the law. She caused losses to the Min family and the stock price kept falling. This was all money. She even wanted to run away with the Min family's money. Ning Shu touched the phone in her pocket and smiled in her heart. Her face was even more timid. I won't do it. Let me go. Min Haochu was very annoyed, very annoyed. It was really annoying to see such a disobedient piece of trash. No matter how much he said, she would still be so stupid. She was as retarded as her brother. I'm giving you a chance to change your fate, but you're still refusing. Ning Shu was very hesitant. Let me think about it. I'm afraid that you'll go back on your word. You, Oh Haoshuan, and Mu Yao bully me every day. Ning Shu was still hesitating, but Ning Shu's live stream was going crazy. Everyone was shouting for Ning Shu not to agree. Mobile users, please visit this wonderful novel at any time. This chapter is 1468. If you think this chapter is good, please don't forget to recommend it to your friends in the QQ group and Weibo. Chapter 1469. Wonderful novel to read at any time, mobile users please visit. However, Ning Shu's phone was on silent mode and he couldn't hear the call in the live stream. I won't do this. I won't do it. I didn't post anything online. You just want to find a scapegoat. It's not enough for you to bully me. You want to make me the scapegoat? Ning Shu turned and ran. His phone kept shaking in his pocket. Min Haochu rubbed his eyebrows speechlessly. I caught him. How annoying. Ning Shu ran in front. He ran so fast that his phone fell to the ground. The screen turned black and the corner of the phone was deflated. Ning Shu turned around and picked up the phone. TSK, TSK, TSK. He lost a phone in order to make this live stream look more natural. Damn it. His heart hurt. He didn't know what would happen to the Min family after this live stream. Ning Shu arrived at the nursery. Yi Xiaodong was drawing in the yard. Ning Shu walked over and stood behind him. Yi Xiaodong didn't notice until he finished drawing and stretched. He turned around and saw Ning Shu. He shouted happily, Sister. Sister, are you done with your work? Yi Xiaodong stood up and asked childishly. Even if they were fraternal twins, boys were always fast. Yi Xiaodong was a head taller than Ning Shu. Sister's work is done. Let's go, Ning Shu said with a smile. He held Yi Xiaodong's hand and walked out of the nursery. It seemed like they couldn't go back to their original place. They had to find a new place to live. What could they do to earn money? Embroidery was too slow. An exquisite embroidery was very tiring. However, they had no money to live now. Their phone and childcare fees had used up all their savings. Ning Shu scratched his head. Oh right. When they were in the galaxy and had no livelihood on planet Mega, they earned money by playing games. There were games in this world too. The few times they went to internet cafes, they saw many people smashing their keyboards. Ning Shu pulled Yi Xiaodong to the internet cafe that was surrounded by smoke. They walked around to see what people were playing recently. Only when there were a lot of people playing the game would people buy the equipment that was dropped at a high price. Ning Shu clicked on the game that everyone was playing and pulled Yi Xiaodong to sit beside him. Yi Xiaodong was not used to such a place. The people around him had cigarettes in their mouths, making the room feel stuffy. Yi Xiaodong tugged at the corner of Ning Shu's shirt uneasily. Ning Shu comforted her, it's okay. Hold on to your sister. After familiarizing himself with the game, Ning Shu began to clear the levels one by one. Then, he sold all the equipment that dropped. Ning Shu's words were like sparks and lightning. Yi Xiaodong held her chin and watched Ning Shu's fingers dance on the keyboard. In the end, the more she looked, the more tired she became. She fell asleep on Ning Shu's body. Yi Xiaodong was already tired from running in the middle of the night last night. Ning Shu adjusted her position and let Yi Xiaodong sleep on her lap so that it wouldn't affect her gaming. Ning Shu teamed up with a team and dropped a BSS. It dropped a rare piece of equipment. Ning Shu said, Amitba, in her heart. For the first time, she felt that the attribute points that she had added to her luck had paid off. For the first time, she didn't feel so miserable. Ning Shu dropped the equipment and announced in the world that she was going to sell it. Ning Shu sold the equipment for a lot of money, but in the end, she realized that she didn't have a bank card. She didn't have an ID card, only a household register. Ning Shu took the household register to the bank to get a bank card. There was a sum of money on the card, enough for her and Yi Xiaodong to live for a while. With money to live on, Ning Shu felt more confident. At the same time, she checked the fruits of her labor. In a situation where he didn't have anything to eat or drink, he bought a set just for this scene. Ning Shu was a streamer who didn't have many fans, but after this incident, she attracted a lot of attention. Everything that she said to Min Haochu was broadcasted live. Someone must have taken a screenshot and recorded it. Ning Shu saw that it had become a hot topic on Weibo. The Min family started emergency public relations. This time, she mentioned Wang Haoxuan and Mu Yao's names, so they must have noticed. It was true that she was bullied at school. Yi Xiaotong and Yi Xiaodong were very famous in the elite school. Because of her identity, a girl who picked up trash, she didn't have a prominent family. People were divided by money and social status. Yi Xiaodong's level was obviously not high enough. She was also the target of Wang Haoxuan, Min Haochu, and Mu Yao's teasing. As for the prince falling in love with Cinderella, that was only in fairy tales. In reality, such things rarely happened, and it wouldn't happen to Yi Xiaotong. A girl who picked up trash. If someone at Min Haochu's level discovered the shining soul of a girl who picked up trash, they would be together. Who knew how much gossip there would be? Therefore, there were no beautiful love stories, only bone-chilling reality. Ning Shu saw that some people were still concerned about Ning Shu's whereabouts. Whether he was caught or not, some people even guessed that Ning Shu had met with a mishap. Then, Min Haochu became popular again, and the Min family's company became a trending topic again. Min Haochu's overbearing manner was vividly displayed through the live stream. They said that the Min family didn't care about the law at all. If something happened, they would find such a girl to take the blame. They wanted to save the company, but they didn't have to do this. This was completely forcing him to do something he couldn't do. Ning Shu looked at these comments and shrugged. He brought Yi Xiaodong to the small noodle shop and ordered a bowl of shredded pork noodles. He also added a fried egg for Yi Xiaodong. The TV in the small noodle shop was broadcasting the news. There's a live stream video circulating on the internet today. There's no specific content in the video, only the voices of a girl and the son of Min Ansheng, Min Haochu. In the live stream, Min Haochu kept forcing the girl to clarify about corpse oil food on the internet. In the end, the girl dropped her phone while escaping. The girl's whereabouts are unknown. Ning Shu ate the shredded pork noodles and felt that the meat was really delicious. It must be because there was little oil in his stomach that he felt that everything was delicious. Yi Xiaodong also ate the noodles in big mouthfuls. She didn't pay attention to the content on TV at all. She probably wouldn't understand even if she saw it. She was going to blow this matter up. Anyway, she was barefooted and wasn't afraid of wearing shoes. She was going to use this gravel tile to collide with exquisite porcelain. Of course, the other party was too strong. Even if she wanted to collide, she had to choose a method. Even Min Haochu didn't expect her, who was usually as obedient as a mouse, to be so scheming. Ning Shu felt that she couldn't stay here any longer. The longer she disappeared, the better. As long as she didn't appear, she would put Min Haochu and Mu Yeyao in the public's eye. Then, she would appear at the right time. Most importantly, Ning Shu wanted to settle Yi Xiaodong down. Yi Xiaodong's situation wasn't suitable for others to talk about. Yi Xiaodong could only draw beautiful paintings with a pure heart. Although she was unfortunate, she had an unparalleled talent for painting. Mobile users, please visit this wonderful novel at any time. This chapter is 1469, and the address is. If you think this chapter is good, please don't forget to recommend it to your QQ group and Weibo friends. Chapter 1470. Ning Shu felt that with Yi Xiaodong by her side, she had to consider Yi Xiaodong when she did things. She was afraid that someone would capture Yi Xiaodong and threaten her. She wanted Yi Xiaodong to suffer. He had followed her everywhere. As long as things were settled, he could live in peace. She had to live a peaceful life, study, earn money, and organize an art exhibition for Yi Xiaodong. But now, she couldn't. She was caught in public opinion and dragged Shan Haoshuan, Mu Yeyao, and Min Haochu into the trap. Ning Shu glanced at the television. There was still news about the Min Family Corporation on the television. There was also the emergency press conference held by the Min family, explaining that the voice in the live stream wasn't Min Haochu's voice. Someone had deliberately done such a thing. They had deliberately used the live stream platform to frame Min Haochu and damage the reputation of the Min Family Corporation. Ning Shu's expression was calm. Anyway, this kind of thing would only make things worse. Ning Shu looked at Yi Xiaodong, who was eating noodles, and asked, "Are you full?" Yi Xiaodong touched his stomach. "I'm full, sister." Ning Shu paid the bill. She carried her bag with one hand and held Yi Xiaodong's hand with the other and left the noodle shop. Now, who was she going to entrust Yi Xiaodong to? She basically had no contact with her relatives. She could only watch the two children live alone. She didn't care about these relatives. It was fine if she didn't look for them. Ning Shu brought Yi Xiaodong to buy some new clothes, a change of underwear, new shoes, drawing paper, and drawing board. Yi Xiaodong was very happy. Ning Shu carried a big bag to the bus station. Where were they going at the bus station? Ning Shu thought about it and decided to find a place with beautiful scenery. Ning Shu chose a small town far away from the city. There was a small Taoist temple in the small town. Ning Shu wanted to leave Yi Xiaodong in the Taoist temple. Ning Shu had thought of leaving Yi Xiaodong in a farmer's house, but farmers were talkative. It was better to leave Yi Xiaodong in a quiet Taoist temple. After sitting on a bus for a few days and taking a tricycle, they finally arrived at the small town and the Taoist temple. This Taoist temple looked small and was very old. Ning Shu brought Yi Xiaodong to the Taoist priest and explained his intentions. Ning Shu Yi Xiaodong asked, "Are you willing to stay here?" Although Yi Xiaodong was simple, he was still very clear about the difference between kindness and malice. The environment of this Taoist temple was quiet and secluded. It felt pretty good. "Sister, are you leaving again?" Yi Xiaodong tugged at the corner of Ning Shu's clothes, looking strangely aggrieved like an abandoned golden retriever. He was obviously bigger than Ning Shu, but he bent his body like he had been wronged. Ning Shu patted his arm and said, "I have something important to do. When I'm done, I'll come and pick you up. Big sister won't lie to you." Ning Shu said sincerely. Yi Xiaodong nodded, feeling wronged. "Hurry up. Taoist priest, please take care of my brother." Taoist priest Ning Shu said as he donated some incense money. Ning Shu took a deep breath. When it was time to leave, Yi Xiaodong and the Taoist priest sent him to the foot of the mountain. Ning Shu Yi Xiaodong smiled. "Wait for big sister. Be good and listen to the Taoist priest. Taoist priest, you're a cultivator. If you treat my brother well, I'll definitely repay you in the future." Ning Shu cupped his hands and said. Immeasurable deity, I can't guarantee that I'll treat your brother well, but I won't bully a child. The old Taoist priest bowed and said. Ning Shu was very satisfied. He said happily, thank you, Taoist priest. Thank you. Ning Shu didn't want the Taoist priest to treat Yi Xiaodong well. It was fine as long as he didn't bully Yi Xiaodong and gave him food. Ning Shu put a lot of food in the box for Yi Xiaodong. Yi Xiaodong could eat it when he was hungry. Because of Yi Xiaodong's intelligence problem, he wouldn't be pitied. Instead, he would be bullied and called a fool. Ning Shu turned and left. When he turned back, he saw Yi Xiaodong waving at him. Ning Shu also jumped up and waved. He was full of smiles. Ning Shu sat on the bumpy bus for a few days. He was dizzy from the bumpy bus ride. Finally, he returned to the city. Back in the city, Ning Shu found a small hotel to stay in. Then, he went straight to the internet cafe. After a few trips, she had almost used up all the money she had. Without money, it was hard to move an inch. Ning Shu's fingers flew, and he quickly killed the boss. He also got to know a few familiar IDs in the game. Ning Shu stayed up all night and got a few pieces of equipment. Although they weren't the best, they could be sold for a lot of money. Money, come quick. Lots of money. After selling the equipment, Ning Shu returned to the small hotel to cultivate. When he was free, he would pay attention to the Min family group. It was very messy anyway. Ning Shu's identity had been dug out on the internet. There were even photos of him. However, Ning Shu hadn't appeared. Many people thought that Ning Shu had been killed. There were also photos of Ning Shu on the internet. He was even famous. Ning Shu had no choice but to buy some cosmetics from the cosmetics counter. He would change his appearance every day before he could go out. It was probably because of the Mu family's pressure. Min Haochu was the center of public opinion. Even Wang Haoxuan was involved. However, Mu Yeyao wasn't mentioned. The media seemed to be avoiding him. Mu Yeyao was born in the military. In terms of social status, he was the highest among the three princes. No matter how rich he was, he couldn't compare to those with high authority. Ning Shu went to buy a phone and logged into his live broadcast room. She suddenly had so many fans. Ning Shu turned off the app. He didn't plan to broadcast. Once he broadcast, his advantage would be gone. As long as he didn't appear, he could always arouse people's curiosity. Sometimes, Ning Shu would swagger to the entrance of the aristocratic school and ask about Wang Haoxuan, Min Haochu, and the third prince Mu Yeyao. Because of this, Mu Yeyao's father drove Mu Yeyao back in a military car. It was said that Mu Yeyao was kicked out of the school gate by his father. Moreover, his father was wearing military boots. Kicking a person's body, that feeling was quite disgusting. Mu Yeyao was grabbed by the collar by his father and thrown into the car. Many people were watching at that time. Wang Haoxuan didn't come to school for the time being. He was obviously avoiding suspicion and waiting for this matter to fade away. The O family had been keeping a low profile during this period of time. They didn't hold any press conferences, but the Min family was as anxious as ants on a hot pan. They didn't clarify anything. The bigger the commotion, the greater the impact. More people would know that there was a problem with the Min family's food. Therefore, they kept a low profile and waited for the matter to fade away. If it really couldn't fade away, they could repackage a company and change the name of the company group. They could always start over. Change the company's shell. The Min family had a big business. If they lost their arm, it would damage the brand that they had painstakingly built up. It was another high-end brand that represented the guarantee of quality. However, the consumers no longer trusted this brand, so there was no need to continue operating it. They could start a brand again. Chapter 1471. It was just a pity that the Min family corporation, which occupied half of the food industry, was gone. Ning Shu wasn't disappointed. It would be abnormal if they were defeated so easily. Rich people wouldn't put all their eggs in one basket. The three of them did not appear in public anymore. They basically did not appear in front of the media. However, Ning Shu didn't dare relax. They were so scared now because the matter had blown up. She couldn't do anything inappropriate to add fuel to the fire and wait until the matter was forgotten by the public. That would be a disaster for her. Anyone who had been tricked would definitely seek revenge. Even Ning Shu, who had been tricked, would bear a grudge in her heart and secretly find an opportunity to take revenge. Ning Shu felt that her life wouldn't be easy in the future. Ning Shu wanted to take advantage of this time to earn more money. She needed money to eat, drink, and sleep so that she wouldn't work hard and end up not being able to fill her stomach. Ning Shu still earned money by playing games and dropping equipment. During this time, Ning Shu had become familiar with the game. Many people who needed equipment would first ask Ning Shu if she had any. Ning Shu relied on this to have a stable source of income. Ning Shu felt that she was quite lucky. Her chances of dropping good equipment were higher than others, so she didn't have to worry about her livelihood. After dealing with the three princes and being able to live a peaceful life, she slowly started to embroider, leaving Yi Xiaotong a skill that could support her. With embroidery, she believed that Yi Xiaotong and Yi Xiaodong could live well. Generally speaking, if high-end items were handmade, their value would increase several times. In the game, Ning Shu didn't reveal any information about herself. She didn't say whether she was a man or a woman, age, or what she did. When she was tired from playing games, Ning Shu thought about how to deal with the three of them. The places where the three of them lived were either rich or expensive. There were security guards and cameras everywhere. It would be easy to be caught loitering at their door. Especially Mu Yao, who lived in a big courtyard. The door was guarded with guns. It was too fucking dangerous. Cowards, come out if you dare. See if I don't splash feces all over you. He didn't believe that these people would continue to hide. Ning Shu looked into his dantian and saw that there was enough fire yang energy in his dantian. He could crush a brick in his hand. He already had the ability to protect himself. Ning Shu went to a remote place where there was an abandoned house. Ning Shu covered the house with rotten cotton wool. There were plastic bottles, food bags, and torn newspapers around the house. Ning Shu lived in this shabby house for 2 or 3 days. He ate, drank, and defecated in this house. The smell in this house was really disgusting. Ning Shu then went to the public phone to make a call. Ning Shu didn't call the police, but called a radio station. The radio station picked up the call. The radio host, Ning Shu, asked, "Dear listener, do you have any questions?" Ning Shu's voice was very soft and trembling. "I'm scared, very scared. Please speak louder." The radio host could only be patient and said. Ning Shu's voice trembled and sounded like he was about to cry. "I'm very scared. I offended someone I can't afford to offend. I even lost my brother. What should I do now? I'm so scared, so scared." Ning Shu kept repeating the word scared. His resentful and fearful voice made the host's face turn ugly. This was an emotional counseling radio station, not a late-night horror radio station. The host wanted to say that if you're sick, go see a doctor. Your brother will definitely be found. No. Ning Shu's voice suddenly rose. I suspect that they have already killed my brother. They are devils. They won't let me go. My brother must be dead. He was killed by them. Ning Shu's voice was very neurotic. Dear listener, please calm down your emotions. Did you just come out of a mental hospital? It was simply a case of persecutory delusion. Ning Shu chattered endlessly. What should my brother do? What should I do? Should I save my brother? Also, I'm very scared now. Tell me, what should I do? I'm listening to the security guard next to me on the radio. I keep hearing that you can give people ideas. Can you tell me what I should do now? Can you give me ideas? I'm really about to break down. Tell me what I should do, what I should do, what I should do, the radio host. You should take your medicine now. From beginning to end, she didn't say anything. She was definitely crazy. Ning Shu looked at the phone and didn't have much time left. He drank a mouthful of water to moisten his throat and then shouted sharply, "Can't you tell me what to do? Do you want to force me to death before you're satisfied? You're always bullying me because I'm a garbage collector." Ning Shu wailed. "Are you going to smile at my corpse after I'm dead? Please calm down. You." Before the radio host could finish, the phone hung up. Crazy. Ning Shu slowly hung up the phone and stayed in the phone booth for a while. She felt that the whole phone booth was filled with the smell of the 5 grains reincarnated. Ning Shu carried the bag to the bathhouse to take a shower and put on makeup. When he came out, he looked completely different. Then, Ning Shu went to the internet cafe to earn money. Ning Shu found the kind of illegal internet cafe that didn't require an ID and could be used for money. When Ning Shu logged into the game, someone asked her to farm monsters together and asked if she had been online for the past few days. Ning Shu just said that she was too busy to go online and then followed the team to farm monsters. Sometimes, she gained a lot, but sometimes, she didn't gain much. As Ning Shu's level increased, many people were curious about what Ning Shu did in real life. Whenever someone asked such a question, Ning Shu would give a vague answer and fool them. Sometimes, when pressed, he would say that he was a girl and chose a male character. When others heard this, they would immediately think that he was a wretched man pretending to be a cute girl to cheat people. They all said that it was disgusting. Ning Shu was speechless. Am I not a cute girl? Ning Shu didn't care. Anyway, who knew if it was true or not through the internet? After the game, Ning Shu checked the news on the internet to see if anyone had found the radio station's hotline. If no one found it, she would kindly mention it. However, Ning Shu didn't have to worry about her. Ning Shu wailed and howled on the phone for a while like a severely ill lunatic. The content of his words was easy to make people think. Min Haochu was copying books. There were books after books in the study. There was a bookcase full of books, and they were all very thick. He had to copy all the books in the study one by one. They were all handwritten, word by word, page by page. It was really a hopeless thing. Min Haochu's father wouldn't beat him. He would only make Min Haochu copy books continuously. Chapter 1472. Not only did he have to copy books, but he also had to take away his phone, cut off the Wi-Fi, and isolate himself from the world. He had to copy books to death. Ever since the live broadcast incident, Min Haochu had been locked in the study by his father. He had never left the study. He had copied so much that his hands were about to break. He didn't know when he would be able to finish copying all the books in the room. Min Haochu was locked in the study. He felt aggrieved and angry. After that, he was in pain as he copied the books numbly. The door opened with a click. Min Haochu looked at the door and was a little surprised. It wasn't the time to eat. It was Min Haochu's father, Min Ansheng, who walked in. Min Ansheng held a tablet in his hand and placed it in front of Min Haochu. Take a look. Min Haochu's heart skipped a beat. His heart tightened. What had happened again? Min Haochu felt like he had a heart attack. Min Haochu picked up the tablet and browsed the news on the internet. It was said that the woman had appeared again and called the radio station. After that, they even found the place where she had lived. The police had been dispatched. After all, on the phone, Ning Shu seemed to have lost his mind and wanted to commit suicide. They found the place where Ning Shu had stayed in the suburbs. This dilapidated house was near the factory, and the smell inside was really strong. As for why they called the radio station, it was because Uncle Li, who was guarding the door of the factory next door, often listened to the radio station with a tape recorder. Now, she was gone. Min Haochu's hand that was holding the tablet was trembling. It wasn't because he was afraid, but because he was angry. The matter had clearly passed and faded out of sight, but now it was starting to cause trouble again. We can't find her now. They said she has committed suicide, Min Ansheng said indifferently. Dad, someone must have used Yi Xiaotong to deal with our family. Otherwise, with Yi Xiaotong's brain and personality, she definitely wouldn't have thought of such a method. She comes back to life from time to time. I don't know where she is hiding now. Min Haochu was so angry that he smashed the tablet. Min Ansheng looked at the corpse of the tablet and said indifferently, she hasn't calmed down after copying books for so long. Flies don't bite seamless eggs. If you hadn't bullied her and forced her into a corner, she would have used the siblings to attack us. Oh, Haoxuan's father and I have already discussed it. We will send you abroad now. Mu Yeyao has been sent to the army by his father. You will be abroad for a while. Min Ansheng said calmly, do you know where you were wrong this time? Min Haochu opened his mouth but didn't say anything. My mistake was that I wasn't ruthless enough. Since I wanted to deal with someone, I couldn't let her have a chance to make a comeback. I couldn't let her have the chance to bite me in a moment of desperation. I dealt with her when no one knew. You were careless. You looked down on her and ended up being used by her. With so many resources, he was actually defeated by a girl who picks up trash. Useless thing. If you weren't my only son, you wouldn't be able to inherit the company with your ability, Min Ansheng said coldly. Find a time to go abroad with Wang Haoxuan. If you continue to run amok after you leave the country, you will suffer. Min Ansheng glanced at the shards on the ground and turned to leave the house. After that, Oh Haoxuan and Min Haochu were packed up and sent out of the country. Ning Shu naturally didn't know that the two of them had gone abroad to play. After such a thing happened, the Min family's company didn't stir up any waves. They didn't come out to clarify or make any statements. It was very quiet and calm. It made Ning Shu feel like he had punched cotton. After living in a dilapidated house for a few days, this was the result he got. Moreover, Oh Haoxuan, Min Haochu, and Mu Yeyao had never appeared in front of the public. Even if it was a live broadcast, Min Haochu didn't appear. Ning Shu felt that something was wrong. Oh Haoxuan was an arrogant person. Although he was arrogant, he was actually a little condescending. He spoke and did things as he pleased. He didn't seem like someone who could hold back. He probably wanted to tear her into pieces. But there was no movement. It was normal for Mu Yeyao not to appear. After all, his family was special and it wasn't suitable for him to appear. Ning Shu closed his eyes and opened the positioning system in his mind. However, it would cost 5 merit points to use it once. It was really fucking expensive. Ning Shu made up her mind. So what if it cost 5 merit points? If she failed this time, she would have to do 6 chain missions. The page popped up. Do you want to pay 5 merit points? Ning Shu clicked yes. It wasn't easy to obtain this merit point. 5 points would be gone. Ning Shu silently cursed the person who made the positioning system. The positioning system began to search. Ning Shu looked at the positioning result and found that she was very far away from here. She was on the other side of the world. After all this time, she had gone abroad. Not only could she avoid trouble, but she could also go abroad to gain experience. Ning Shu scratched her head in distress. It was easy for these people to go abroad, but it wasn't that easy for her. However, it was troublesome for her. She had to apply for a visa. Moreover, if something happened to these two people in the future, she would definitely be suspected. Moreover, there was the radio station incident. Many people were investigating her whereabouts. Ning Shu spread her hands helplessly. She put on a hat and went to the bank to withdraw the money in her card. Then, she bought some things and went back to the Taoist temple to see Yi Xiaodong. Yi Xiaodong was doing well in the Taoist temple. He drew many things, flowers, trees, and birds. They were very lifelike. Ning Shu flipped through the things Yi Xiaodong drew and said with a smile, "Xiaodong's drawing is really good. Keep these things well. I'll show them to the art exhibition in the future." Yi Xiaodong ate the things Ning Shu sold and asked with a childish face, "Sister, have you settled your things?" "Not yet. I came back to see you. After seeing you, I still have to go." Ning Shu said, "It's been a little long this time. I came back to see you." "Ah, sister, you're still leaving?" Yi Xiaodong's face was full of disappointment. However, he still said, "Sister, you go ahead. I'll wait for you to come back. The Taoist priest is very good to me." Ning Shu nodded. Before she left, she seemed to have donated some incense money and even gave the Taoist priest a cultivation manual. This secret manual was something Ning Shu exchanged to read in the past. Before he came, he wrote a new copy and gave it to the Taoist priest. "Taoist priest, this is my kind intention. I found it in the city. It seems to be teaching people to cultivate. It's suitable for you. Taoist priest, try it. You might be able to succeed." Ning Shu handed the secret manual to the Taoist priest. It was the end of the Dharma age now. One might not be able to cultivate it successfully. However, it could prolong one's life. The Taoist priest accepted it and promised that he would take good care of Yi Xiaodong. Ning Shu then left with peace of mind. He did not know when he would be able to return from this overseas trip. It was really tiring to run around for the mission. He felt stifled. Chapter 1473. Ning Shu didn't plan to go abroad through regular channels. He found an intermediary and gave him some money to smuggle into the country where Lao Haoshuan and Min Haochu were. However, smuggling was quite a difficult thing. Ning Shu was nestled in the narrow cabin. These ships were all transporting goods. The intermediary sent Ning Shu and a group of people who wanted to smuggle onto the ship through channels. After a period of bumpy sea, they finally arrived at the place. Ning Shu stepped on land with his head heavy and his feet light. It was as if he was stepping on cotton. He looked for the place according to the positioning system. Along the way, Ning Shu felt that it was really hard to explain. It was inconvenient for poor people who didn't have money to go anywhere. Lao Haoshuan and Min Haochu lived in villas around the universities in Eston. Ning Shu could only find a basement to live in. However, it was easier to see Lao Haoshuan and Min Haochu now than in China. Ning Shu observed that Min Haochu and Lao Haoshuan liked to go to the restaurant the most. He decided to apply for a job as a waiter there. Moreover, he also needed to live. Ning Shu took a mirror and put on makeup for himself. He trimmed his eyebrows and changed his face slightly. He wasn't very beautiful, but he wasn't ugly either. He was so mediocre that people couldn't remember what he looked like. Then, Ning Shu came to the restaurant to apply for a job as a waiter. He could even mop the floor and wash the dishes. Ning Shu had some foundation in foreign languages, so he had no problem communicating with people. The restaurant accepted Ning Shu and gave him a set of work clothes. Ning Shu was given a set of work clothes. The next day, Ning Shu went to work. The work in the restaurant was very tiring and dirty. Ning Shu was the lowest level employee. He did everything. He smelled the fragrance of steak and salad every day, but he couldn't eat it. Occasionally, Ning Shu would see Min Haochu and Lao Haoxuan coming to the restaurant to eat. Ning Shu glanced at their bill. It was a lot of money. Therefore, they didn't feel that they were wrong. Although it was a little troublesome for their lives, they still lived very well in a different place. Ning Shu's expression didn't change. He understood Min Haochu and Mu Yao's situation. Because the matter this time didn't involve much money, beating Haoxuan was no different from before. Min Haochu, on the other hand, had changed. From what Ning Shu had observed, Min Haochu had become much calmer. In the past, he still looked like an evil fox. But now, he had calmed down. After experiencing such an unforeseen event, his will had improved. Ning Shu was not in a hurry to deal with them. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you will never be defeated. Min Haochu didn't seem to have any particular hobbies. It seemed that he was really here to further his studies. Oh, Haoxuan fell in love with racing. It was a sport that stimulated adrenaline. Sometimes, Min Haochu would come to eat alone with a scarf around his neck. White mist would come out of his mouth. Holding a brown leather notebook in his hand, he looked like a foreign exchange student. Ning Shu felt that Min Haochu was different. He was calmer and more dangerous than before. Ning Shu couldn't help but take a deep breath. What a headache. Ning Shu had been looking for an opportunity to get Min Haochu to come for a meal. There weren't many waiters in the restaurant. The waiters who asked Ning Shu to mop the floor and wash the dishes also served the dishes. The restaurant manager told Ning Shu a few things to take note of when serving the dishes. When Min Haochu came for dinner in the evening, Ning Shu hurriedly went up to greet her. Min Haochu ordered a medium-rare steak and waited for the dishes to be served. When Ning Shu served the dishes, he touched the steak with his fingers. Then, he closed the lid and served it to Min Haochu. Min Haochu picked up the knife and fork. Ning Shu said, "Open the bottle for me." Ning Shu picked up the bottle of red wine and opened it with a pop. The sound of opening the bottle cap was a little loud. Min Haochu turned to look at Ning Shu. "Can you lower your voice? Are the waiters in your restaurant all so professional?" "Sorry, it's my first time." Ning Shu apologized and pushed the dining cart away. Min Haochu was speechless. Were the people in the service industry so arrogant now? So what if it was your first time? Min Haochu ate the steak. Ning Shu was busy pushing the dining cart to serve the dishes while looking at Min Haochu. When Min Haochu paid the bill and was about to leave, Ning Shu also planned to ask for leave. However, when Ning Shu went to ask for leave, the restaurant manager said directly, "The customer complained about your service attitude, so you were fired." As the store manager spoke, he gave Ning Shu his most recent salary. Ning Shu immediately thought of Min Haochu. It must have been him who had complained. Ning Shu took the money, changed his clothes, and hurried out of the restaurant. However, Min Haochu had already left. Ning Shu turned on the positioning system and spent 5 merit points to locate Min Haochu. Ning Shu adjusted his scarf and covered half of his face. Then, he chased after the location set by the positioning system. Ning Shu ran very fast and caught up with Min Haochu. She followed behind him. Min Haochu, who was walking in front, was swaying. He seemed to be drunk. Min Haochu shook his head and supported himself against the wall. In the end, he fell down. Ning Shu walked over and kicked Min Haochu. He was completely unconscious. Ning Shu moved his neck and wrist. He punched Min Haochu's chest. Min Haochu grunted and was about to open his eyes when Ning Shu slashed his neck. Min Haochu didn't even see him clearly before he fainted again. A trace of energy entered Min Haochu's heart. The power of the sun flame would slowly consume Min Haochu's body. And it was in his heart. Since you like violence so much, you should be a child with a glass heart in the future. Don't be angry, because your heart will explode. Don't run around, because your heart will fail. Ning Shu patted Min Haochu's handsome face. Little boy, just sleep here. Ning Shu chuckled. This was Eston, a country that was famous for its corruption. 80% of the men had slept with other men. 80% of the men had been slept with by other men. Ning Shu sat not far away, waiting to see if anything would happen that would make his heart pound. Ning Shu went to the convenience store to buy something to eat. Then, he waited until midnight. A drunkard tripped over Min Haochu, who was lying on the ground. He took out his phone and saw a handsome Asian guy with the help of the street lamp. The drunkard chuckled and unbuckled Min Haochu's belt. Then, he turned over. After taking off his pants, the drunkard took off his own pants. Without lubrication, the drunkard pulled Min Haochu's butt open and spat on it. Ning Shu was speechless. Fuck, it hurts my eyes. Ning Shu thought that he would see a beautiful scene, but it was too painful. Ning Shu turned and left. After dealing with Min Haochu, Ning Shu heaved a sigh of relief and decided to eat something good. Forget it. That scene not only hurt his eyes, but also his stomach. Now, his stomach was feeling uncomfortable. When Min Haochu woke up, he was at the police station. Someone called the police because he was naked in the morning. Min Haochu was speechless. And he was violated. Not only was he violated, he wasn't even allowed to wear his pants. Chapter 1474. Min Haochu was in so much pain. His buttocks were in so much pain, and his lower body was in so much pain. Min Haochu grabbed the collar of the policeman as if the policeman was the one who had violated him. He gritted his teeth and said, "You must catch the person from last night." He had been attacked and then violated by someone. Moreover, it was obviously a man who had violated him. Damn it, he had been raped by a man. And it was when he was unconscious. This was rape. Min Haochu had never thought that such a thing would happen to him. This was a matter of dignity. If he had raped a man, even if others knew, they would only say that he knew how to play. But now, he was the one being pressed down. It was related to his dignity, a man's dignity. It was so disgusting. He didn't know what kind of man had done it. And he didn't know if the man was sick or if he would pass some diseases to him. If this matter spread to the country, he would definitely become a laughing stock. And his father would be disappointed in him. You must catch him. The more Min Haochu thought about it, the angrier he became. He shouted angrily, then he hissed and clutched his chest. His heart was beating very fast, and it was so painful that it tightened. And it was getting more and more painful. It was so painful that Min Haochu's lips turned blue. Min Haochu clutched his chest, sweating profusely. Are you okay? Min Haochu said, take me to the hospital. After going to the hospital to get a tranquilizer, his heart slowly relaxed and didn't hurt so much. Min Haochu had a bad feeling in his heart and asked, what's wrong with my heart? There's nothing wrong. It's just a little heart spasm. When there's nothing else, try to stay calm, the doctor said. Min Haochu asked, do I have a heart disease? There's no problem with the heart, but it's prone to spasms. Take good care of it in the future, the doctor suggested. Don't do strenuous exercise, or it might fail in the future. Min Haochu's face was so pale that he couldn't speak. The blows in his life came one after another. He had been raped by a man who didn't know who, and now he was told that there was something wrong with his heart. But our family doesn't have a history of heart disease. How could there be something wrong with my heart? Min Haochu couldn't figure it out. Heart disease isn't necessarily inherited. It has something to do with personal habits. Min Haochu grabbed the clothes around his chest and left the hospital. Min Haochu felt that life was really messed up. From then on, he was no longer a healthy person. He couldn't jump around, and he couldn't have violent mood swings. Why did he suddenly have a heart attack? Min Haochu couldn't figure out why he was sleeping on the street. In Min Haochu's memory, there seemed to be more than one person who had touched him. With this thought in mind, Min Haochu felt his back hurt even more. Min Haochu kept this matter a secret. He didn't even tell Oh Haochuan, who lived with him. You didn't come back last night. Where did you go? Could it be? Oh Haochuan looked at Min Haochu meaningfully and raised his eyebrows. You don't look very good. Could it be that you've been fighting for too long? Let me tell you. Oh Haochuan drank his coffee and said to Min Haochu, be careful. This foreign woman is too much. I still like young and inexperienced virgins. Min Haochu didn't want to chat. He said to Oh Haochuan, ask for leave for me. I won't go today. Oh Haochuan shrugged. Since he didn't have to work in the restaurant, Ning Shu cultivated until the next morning. Then, he went out to buy breakfast. Then, he looked for the place where Oh Haochuan raced on the internet. Racing was such a dangerous activity. It was normal for something to happen. First, he found out where Oh Haochuan raced. Then, he would plan slowly. Ning Shu planned to let Oh Haochuan have an accident after a period of time. With so many accidents, he would definitely be suspicious. Ning Shu didn't want people to know about his existence. It was better to do things so sneakily, like a ghost. After being kicked out of the restaurant, Ning Shu could only find a new job. It was more tiring to work in a small restaurant, and the salary was less. However, one advantage was that food was included. As long as he could have food, he could live. Besides, he still had fasting pills with him. He could save money if he had money. He needed money too much now. Ning Shu bit into a hamburger while looking for a suitable place for racing on his mobile phone. He was looking for the kind of place where the rich second generation liked to pursue excitement. Finally, he found a Taji mountain. This Taji mountain road was quite surrounded. It was winding and winding, which was a test of driving skills. Moreover, the place was relatively remote. It wouldn't disturb the people and wouldn't be caught by the police. Of course, this was also a place for these rascals to avoid racing in the city. That was dangerous. At night, this was a paradise for those racing people, and it was all for the rich. Of course, there were also monetary transactions. The amount was very large. Ning Shu asked for leave and went to Taji Mountain in the evening. There were no cars in Taji Mountain. At night, basically no one came here. If he encountered a grumpy racing person, his car would be smashed directly. It was so fierce. Ning Shu arrived at the starting point. The starting point was full of all kinds of people. There were also racing cheerleaders dancing. The surrounding people were noisy. However, Ning Shu was soon driven out because she didn't have an admission ticket at all. She was not qualified to watch the racing. Ning Shu was speechless. If she was not qualified, then she was not qualified. She hid on the mountainside. However, she knew what she needed to know. Oh Haochuan drove a yellow sports car and was wearing a racing suit. He was handsome and charming. The blonde girls who were dancing in the cheerleading squad were all mesmerized and screamed one after another. Oh Haochuan seemed to like this kind of sport very much. He was strictly disciplined in China, but here, he seemed to have developed a new hobby. Ning Shu went back to work and found out the rules of Oh Haochuan's racing. He didn't go every night. Ning Shu took a poor salary every day and ate hamburgers. The hamburgers tasted really bad. However, she couldn't cook. If she took Yi Xiaodong to live abroad in the future, she must find a better house, a house where she could cook. Now she lived in the basement and couldn't cook. Eating hamburgers every day was really enough. Ning Shu calculated the time. It had been a long time since she went abroad. Ning Shu had been waiting. She had accumulated a lot of money. She could take Yi Xiaodong to live abroad. Ning Shu didn't plan to live in China. She would start a new life with Yi Xiaodong and live a better life. In addition to paying attention to Oh Haoshuan, who liked racing, Ning Shu also paid attention to Min Haochu. She didn't know if Min Haochu would have any sequelae after being pressed down by a man. Maybe he would become gay. Ning Shu went to the restaurant where Min Haochu often went, intending to peek at Min Haochu. Chapter 1475. Ning Shu felt that he was very wretched, peeping at a man like this. Min Haochu seemed to be normal, and there was no change. However, Ning Shu felt that Min Haochu was much gloomier and his movements were much smaller. He probably knew that there was a problem with his heart and was afraid of a heart attack. This was only the beginning. Slowly, the heart would slowly fail. How long he could live depended on his maintenance. He had to live carefully like this, not knowing what tomorrow would be like. Maybe he wouldn't see the sun tomorrow. The client was afraid every day, afraid of daily school life, but he didn't dare to go to school because he didn't know what would happen if he didn't go to school. It would anger the three people and lead to more tragic pranks. Just like that, he lived in fear. So, you should also live like this, an unpredictable tomorrow. When Min Haochu left the restaurant, he felt a meaningful gaze peeping at him. Since the incident on the street, Min Haochu had been a lot more sensitive. If a man looked at him more than once, Min Haochu would feel disgusted. He always felt that this man had some dirty thoughts about him. Moreover, after that time, Min Haochu had bloody stools for several days. He didn't even dare to poop. He was so disgusted that he couldn't eat for a few days, and his heart felt uncomfortable. This was the most disgusting thing in Min Haochu's life that made him feel helpless, even if the company had such a big change last time. Min Haochu was just flustered, but this kind of thing happened to him. Min Haochu felt that he couldn't get over this hurdle in his heart for a long time. Ning Shu looked around Min Haochu. He probably noticed his gaze, so he retracted his gaze and left as if nothing had happened. Anyway, Min Haochu's future life wouldn't be easy. Money couldn't buy a healthy body. If there was a heart problem, it couldn't be cured. Unless he changed his heart, even if he changed his heart, there would be a rejection reaction. The medicine couldn't be removed. Therefore, this result was quite good. Ning Shu planned to sneak back. He had been out for too long, and he didn't know how Yi Xiaodong was doing. He left Yi Xiaodong in the country. Ning Shu was really worried. But before he left, there was one more thing to do, and that was Oh Haoshuan. Kentucky at night is passionate, the passion of the Kentucky at night is the flavor of hormones. Ning Shu first slipped to the starting point to see if Oh Haoshuan had come. Oh Haoshuan was still driving a yellow sports car. Then Ning Shu ran away, hiding in the most dangerous part of the curve. This place was a series of bends. If they were not careful, they would run off the road. Ning Shu lay in the grass. The ground was really cold. For the sake of the mission, Ning Shu was really going all out. A gunshot rang out at the top of the mountain. Ning Shu tensed up and was ready to fight at any moment. Cars sped past in front of them one after another. Ning Shu looked at the yellow sports car and released his spiritual force. When he turned the corner, he made Oh Haoshuan's car hit the railing. Bang! The car hit the railing. Because of Ning Shu's spiritual power, the car did not rush down the mountain. Otherwise, with such a force, the car would definitely be destroyed and people would die if they rushed down the cliff. But what's the point of being dead? Ning Shu sneaked away. When he reached the foot of the mountain, he saw an ambulance rushing to the top of the mountain. Ning Shu let out a long breath, went back to the basement to pack his things, and the next day boarded the ship to smuggle back to China. Smuggling was really not a human thing. In the future, he must get a new identity and sit comfortably in the cabin. Instead of staying in a dirty ship where he was always afraid of being found. Smuggling his life was not guaranteed. After a few difficult days, he finally succeeded in returning home. Stepping on the land, Ning Shu was dizzy. Then he went to find Yi Xiaodong. This time it took a long time. He didn't know how Yi Xiaodong was doing. Ning Shu was afraid that Yi Xiaodong would be found by them. The O family and the Min family might not have that much power. But the Mu family had soldiers in their hands. The strength of an individual was not worth mentioning in front of a country. A mayfly shaking a tree. He heard that Mu Yao was sent to the army for devil training. Ning Shu didn't think that he could avoid the radar and so many soldiers to find Mu Yao. If he couldn't find Mu Yao, he couldn't do what he wanted to do next. Sitting on the bus for a long time was so bumpy that Ning Shu felt like vomiting. After getting off the ship, they had to take the bus again. When they arrived at the conduit, Ning Shu saw Yi Xiaodong with a childish face and let out a long breath. Yi Xiaodong's eyes lit up when he saw Ning Shu. Then, he said aggrievedly, "Why was sister gone for so long this time?" Ning Shu said with a smile, "After sister's matter is settled, we can start a new life." "Let's move to another place," Ning Shu said. Yi Xiaodong asked, "Where are we going?" "Abroad." "Where is abroad?" Ning Shu suddenly thought of a problem. If they really went abroad, Yi Xiaodong might not be able to speak the language. With Yi Xiaodong's IQ, it was very difficult to learn a new language. Ning Shu hit his head. Why didn't he think of this problem before? "Xiaodong, where do you think we should go in the future? Do you like it here?" Ning Shu asked Yi Xiaodong, "If you like it here, we'll stay here. I'll go wherever sister goes. As long as I'm with sister, it's fine." "Let's go abroad," Yi Xiaodong said naively. Ning Shu sighed and stayed in the Taoist temple for a few days. Yi Xiaodong's days in the Taoist temple were very peaceful. He had enough time to paint every day, and the Taoist priest would bring him food when he ate. No one bullied Yi Xiaodong here. In fact, it was good for Yi Xiaodong to have less contact with people. He was immersed in his own world, and there was only Yi Xiaodong in his world. Ning Shu thought about it for a few days and decided to take Yi Xiaodong to a new living environment. It was best to go abroad and start a new life. Ning Shu didn't feel safe at home. Even if he wanted to go abroad, he would go to another country, not Eston. After all, Min Haochu and Mu Yao both had accidents in Eston. If he stayed in that country, it would inevitably arouse suspicion. Then he would go to another country. After making up his mind, Ning Shu didn't have so many worries in his heart. When Yi Xiaodong left, he was reluctant to leave the Taoist temple and couldn't move for a long time. When he saw the Taoist priest, his eyes were filled with tears. Ning Shu put down the bag in his hand and asked Yi Xiaodong, "You really don't want to leave?" "No." Yi Xiaodong shook his head. "Liar." Ning Shu let out a long breath and said with a smile, "Then we won't go. How about we live here?" "Really?" Yi Xiaodong's eyes lit up, looking like a puppy asking for a bone. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.